That's going to be brilliant. All right. Okay, listen, Lee, have a great weekend. It is the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Our Friday panel are going to join us very shortly, and so much more besides, of course. But at the top of the hour, it's time for a news update. Good morning, Donald Kavanagh.
Thanks, Craig. Good morning. €23 million to be spent in Donegal under the HSE's capital plan for 2022. Minister Charlie McConalogue says the plan will enable the HSE progress important projects in the county over the course of the coming months. With more, here's Michaela Clark.
The €23 million to be spent in Donegal under the HSE's latest capital plan includes initial works for a number of projects announced earlier this week, including new community hospitals in Letterkenny and Ballyshannon and improvements to existing facilities in Stranorlar, Buncrana, Carndonagh, Ramelton, Falcarra and Dunloe. The provision of an ambulance base at St Joseph's Hospital in Stranorlar is also included, as is a new intellectual disability adult day services facility at the Cleary Centre, Donegal Town, the Newton Cunningham Primary Care Centre and the provision of 4 family beds at the Donegal Hospice, which will be self-funded. Works are also included at Letterkenny University Hospital, including new accommodation for the physiotherapy and occupational therapy departments, works at the acute mental health unit, lab extensions and the extension of the existing haematology and oncology day units.
Advocacy group As I Am has criticised new plans for special education centres, which they say would lead to autistic children being segregated from their peers. Yesterday, leaked government plans revealed proposals to establish special facilities for children with intellectual disabilities who cannot secure a school place. Education Minister with responsibility for special education, Josepha Manigan, says the proposal is in an early stage and consultations with stakeholders, including the As I Am group, haven't yet begun. But the proposal, she says, remains an option. Well, the CEO of As I Am is Adam Harris.
Every single summer we find ourselves in the exact same position around this, and at some stage you have to ask, how do we break the cycle? Why every summer is there a shortage of places? And we believe that there's simply not enough joined up thinking and planning throughout the academic year to prevent that. And, you know, the reality is, even in the last number of weeks, we've struggled to get a clear picture from the NCC or the department about how many children we're actually dealing with.
The HSE's chief executive says the health service is prepared if there's to be an outbreak of monkeypox here. Global cases of the rare virus have risen sharply in recent weeks. The first case on the island of Ireland was confirmed yesterday north of the border. And a delegation of fishing industry representatives and politicians from fishing communities is travelling to Brussels to make the case for Ireland's fishing fleet to be allocated what they say would be a fairer share of the fish in Irish waters. The visit's being hosted by Sinn Féin Midlands North West MEP Chris McManus. He says the sector has been in a difficult situation for decades, and that's been exacerbated by Brexit. Chris McManus told Highland Radio News the delegation will be putting forward practical suggestions to improve the situation.
So they will be meeting key politicians who are on the Fisheries Committee, but also key Commission officials who are the ones who ultimately make quite a lot of decisions around the fishing industry and our needs. We've been hurt over many decades of neglect, but this has been amplified by the recent Brexit deal and what has effectively seen the fishing industry thrown under the bus. So what we need to do is not only go out and be able to highlight the problems, but also put forward proposals for urgent changes that we want the EU Commission to take on board.
Sunny today with highest temperatures 13 to 15 degrees Celsius, light to moderate northwesterly winds. Tonight it'll stay dry with clear spells, lowest overnight temperatures 4 or 5 degrees. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock.
At AIB, we know how difficult finding the right home can be. The searching, bidding and time that lives behind every sale agreed sign. But when you finally do find the right home, AIB can make the mortgage part easier. With our online mortgage tool, you can manage your application online. Find out more at aib.ie. AIB, we back belief. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. Allied Irish Banks plc is an authorised agent and servicer of AIB Mortgage Bank QC in relation to the origination and servicing of mortgage loans and mortgages. Allied Irish Banks plc and AIB Mortgage Bank QC are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, a very good morning too. It's just turned 5 minutes past 9 on this Friday the 27th of May, and you're very welcome along to the programme. It is Friday, of course, which means we have assembled our Friday panel to discuss the big stories of the day, the big stories of the week. We want your views as well, of course. 086 60 25,000, your WhatsApps and texts. If you're listening outside the Republic, 00353 86 60 25,000. Or you can give us a call right now on 074 91 25,000. Right, we'll crack straight on because there's quite a bit to get through. We'll say good morning first to Councillor Martin McDermott, Lasca Hirlock of Donegal County Council, a Fianna Fáil rep as well. Good morning, Martin.
Good morning, Greg.
It's good to have you with us. And also MEP Luke Ming Flanagan, an independent MEP for Midlands North West. Luke, thanks for joining us. Good morning to you.
Thanks for inviting me on, Greg.
No, it's good to have you back. And last but not least, of course, Elaine Burke, editor of SiliconRepublic.com. Good morning, Elaine.
Morning, thanks for having me back.
No, it's great to have you. We know you're the tech-savvy one anyway because your voice is the clearest. So if you can disseminate any information to our other guests, mate, particularly Martin. Okay, right. Okay, on to some of these news stories then. Tuesday's shooting at a Texas elementary school, which has left at least 19 children and 2 adults dead, marked another instance of a uniquely American tragedy. The shooting's the latest entry in the long history of gun violence in the United States. Before Tuesday, there'd been at least 39 shootings in K-12 schools, colleges and universities in 2022, resulting in at least 10 deaths and 51 injuries. While proposals to overhaul gun laws, such as a ban on assault-style weapons or high-capacity magazines, are in discussion, so to speak, they face very steep odds at the federal level, and with any progress set to be extremely slow. I mean, Elaine Burke, I'll start with you. It is, we say words and we kind of throw them into everyday language like unimaginable, hard to comprehend, but what happened in Texas, how things must have unfolded, the impact that these young lives taken, and the impact on families and the communities, it really is just unimaginable. I physically can't get my head around it.
It's unimaginable to us, certainly, but unfortunately, it's actually become part of school life in America. I mean, they do school shooter drills the same way we would be familiar with children doing fire drills in primary school education and even kindergarten education. It's K through 12. And that's what's unfortunate about this. It's actually become a normalized part of their life. Instead of actively working out this problem, they're having these children do drills to prepare for the inevitability that this could happen at any time.
Yeah. Luke, I see a lot of the conversation at the moment now is about, how the shooter gained access, whether he was challenged at the door. And I mean, it feels to me like just a distraction. They want, particularly in America, a lot of people seemingly to talk about anything other than, people, particularly young people, having access to guns that are only designed to kill on a mass scale. So already the conversation maybe that should be had is already being convoluted, and there's distraction and what have you.
Yeah, well, look, it's very hard to find a short-term fix to a situation like this. Obviously, you can never fix the lives of those children that have been taken at a ridiculously young age. You're never, ever going to be able to fix that. But in the short term, to me, it seems really obvious, and this is what I find bizarre about American society and the way they're thinking over there, that you wouldn't immediately impose a ban on AK-47s and having them widely available. And as the last speaker said, the idea that this has kind of become normalized and you work out ways how you keep the children safe by having better locks on doors, arming more people, to me that just seems totally ridiculous. I watched 25 children head off to Ruski yesterday, my 7-year-old daughter being one of them, on a bus to go kayaking and to jump off rafts. And you couldn't but think, when you looked at the bus, that it was the equivalent of someone blowing up that bus. I've had a small bit of experience of that fear myself, a little bit of it when I lived in Brussels, because when I first got there, only a few months after I got there, there was explosions at a couple of the stations. There were people killed down the road from my house. The local Twitter account for Excel said, turn off the lights at the front of your building because the shooter is still at large. And then the following week, when we brought our children to school, we were greeted at the gate with policemen carrying machine guns and revolvers for the following 6 months. So I have to say, coming back here to nice, safe Ireland, you really realise, in many ways, there's a lot of problems in Irish society, but you really realise how damn lucky we are to live in such a peaceful place, relatively speaking. And I just pity parents who have to worry about this and have to think about this. But on a simple level, they need to stop selling AK-47s. And I think they need to start looking at how America is structured and how they need to move away from this dog-eat-dog style of society where you're not entitled to any maternity leave or any paternity leave. You're not entitled to any holidays. And let's be honest, to me, that's not a very civil way to live. And there was a time when people from Ireland would pine to go to the US. It sounds to me like my worst nightmare that I have to live there with my children. But that nightmare is going to have to be solved. And they need to start it by banning those weapons immediately. Otherwise, it's just going to keep happening.
And before I bring Martin in, Elaine, you know, it's the young people, it's the children that walked out of school in protest saying, look, something needs to be done. You mentioned the fact that, you know, gun drills, shooter on campus drills are commonplace. And yet the gun lobby are holding their annual conference in Texas in the next couple of days. A couple of musicians have pulled out, but it'll be the same rhetoric, the same absolute defense of this right to hold a gun, to the point where there seems to be no wiggle room at all. Even, you know, background checks, even if it's only shotguns available, such havoc perhaps couldn't have been wreaked.
Yeah, I mean, this frankly isn't the first time this has happened, and every time there will be calls for more legislation on guns in the US. There will be all of this heartbreak and the horror that we've seen unfold on television through these shootings, and nothing will happen. I mean, the NRA has immense lobbying power in the US, and Obama specifically called out the NRA's lobbying after the Sandy Hook shootings, and legislation has struggled to come into effect since that. I think that one was in about 2013 or something like that. So at the moment, as far as I know, the House of Congress has gotten so far with the bill, but it's expected now to be shot down in the Senate. And so they're constantly having the same discussion and nothing is changing. And I just can't imagine the heartbreak of the people in the US, the sheer number of people in the US who've been affected by mass shootings, who are seeing this just play out the same way every time.
Yeah, and only a few days earlier, 10 other people wiped out in a massacre in a shop. Councillor McDermott, your views?
Yeah, Greg, it's devastating for those families. It's hard to believe that, you know, the children and people, when you turn 18, you can walk on and buy whatever gun you want in a shop, in a street, everywhere that you can go.
But you can't buy booze.
No,
that's
you're 21, and it's amazing. You know, when you think about it, that's the life that people are living. And I think, you know, they've been talking about it in America now for a number of years, and they still don't seem to ever want to move away from that. And, you know, it's something, even as you say, how hypocritical it is today to have a conference in Texas on guns after what has happened, and ex-presidents attending that conference. You know, it's just unbelievable that is happening in any country. But, you know, they really do need to make the call, and I think that's going to be very, very difficult to get that through any of the houses, especially the Senate. I know that the bill went through the House of the Congress. The Senate doesn't seem to be going to pass that, and it's mind-boggling to think that these people don't do this and do it right away.
Luke, you mentioned, Martin mentioned lobbying. I mean, lobbying in politics is not unusual. I mean, you know, we can see the impacts of it, the gun lobby, because we can see this tragedy, how it unfolds. But there's tragedy happening all around us, perhaps being influenced by lobbyists. We've seen recently at the climate summit in Britain, the amount of representatives from the oil industry and elsewhere that were attendant at that. And then we learned locally that 8 government TDs and senators recently received VIP treatment at a hospitality tent hosted by a gambling body at Punchestown Racecourse. A meal and a free bar all day for for them. It comes ahead of a forthcoming law to regulate gambling firms, and we're told, ironically, with what I've just said, that these types of sort of lobbying events, though it's not a lobbying event, could be banned as part of that legislation. Does all this lobbying and the interaction between big business and politics, does it stink to high heavens, or is that just the way it is, Luke?
Well, I hear about a lot of lobbying going on in Brussels, but I have to say my office is rather quiet when it comes to lobbying. They probably look at my voting record when it comes to a more transparent tax system and having a proper corporate tax level. So I don't see much of them myself, but I think I would go along with Tony Benn's philosophy. I think he had the best saying on it, that politicians should become signposts and not weather vanes, and in particularly not weather vanes that go in the direction of what way the lobbyists blow them. And I think people need to be strong on that. And in particular, when it comes to the gambling industry, while obviously you can't ban gambling, because that would just cause more problems, it's got to be more heavily regulated because it's causing untold misery, people spending billions of euros worth on it. And the idea that TDs or legislators will be going off on some sort of a jolly with these people, to me, it's beyond comprehension. And really, do you need to ban it? Okay, you need to ban it, but surely people should have the cop on not to get engaged in that sort of stuff in the first place, because it's quite obviously what's happening. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And if someone's giving you a lunch for free, they're looking for something in return.
Yeah, I mean, Councillor McDermott, some of your party colleagues and others still going into tents at race grounds in 2022, still knowing that it was, the gambling industry that was hosting it, and knowing that a vote is going to be coming up in the not too distant future on new gambling regulations. We're not learning anything in this country, are we?
No, I don't think that should be happening. But I actually don't know a lot about that. I just heard that last night in the media. But certainly there shouldn't be. If you're making a vote on something, you should be a situation where if people want to come on to a public forum and make their point, that's fair enough. And when all public representatives are there and they can make their point on both sides for a yes or for a no, whatever it may be. But to just be going to one side when there's a vote in place, I don't think that certainly shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, I guess, as I say, what worries me is they can set up the tent, they can set up the free bar, and they can pull out the 2-course meal. But you would have thought when the invite lands on an elected politician's desk that they look at it and go, right, okay, this is to do with gambling, isn't it? I might actually say no to this. I might do something else, because at the very least, it could look bad. But at least 8 of them thought that, no, that's all right. Sure, it won't influence me. I can get free booze, free food. I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, and that's the question. And I suppose, look, I mean, that's for those individuals to answer. I mean, we can't answer that for them as to why they did that or why they went there. But I certainly don't think it's the right policy when you're legislating and making rules that you're going to take one side over another. I think you have to take the facts and look at what's the best for the general public. And that's where it should be coming from.
Elaine Burke, go ahead, Luke. Sorry, before I bring Elaine in.
Yeah, and likewise, you have a situation where you have people working in politics and then they jump straight across into business. We have a situation where we had an MEP from Ireland who worked on the Econ Committee for years in the European Parliament, and then straight after they finished up as an MEP, they're now out there representing Irish banking, even though on the Econ Committee in the European Parliament, we play a part in regulating such banks and making sure those regulations are watertight. But I mean, if people can go from being on the committee one week to representing the banking industry the next week, how can people be anything other than sceptical about that?
Well, and of course, with the former head of the RSA, did we not then, who went over to sort of represent in insurance companies as well, as they were going through quite a lot of criticism. But it happens all the time. We see it all the time. Elaine, I mean, as I say, sorry to keep repeating myself, but you would think politicians at this stage would know better than to accept such an invite.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really shocked. I mean, regardless of trying to examine the moral position of each one of these individuals, I mean, really, this is about bad optics. Like, how did no one even think that, like whether they're going to be influenced or not, they should have realized that if word gets out that I was at this event prior to this vote, this isn't going to look great for me. And the excuse of being ambushed by a party isn't really going to fly. But like lobbying does happen, and it does happen out in the open a lot as well. And it does happen even with scheduled events. I mean, currently in the sector that I cover, MEPs are meeting with big tech in the US because of the legislation that's coming down the line here in the EU. They want to speak to some of the big tech bodies over in the US about that. And some of those discussions might lead to changes in the final drafts of those legislations. So I'm happier when that stuff is happening out in the open and you can see that there's a documented proof of these events happening. But I think what really riles people up is that like these kind of closed door parties and stuff like that they might feel like they're going to get away with it. You're not at this day and age, not with social media and not with the amount of people around that can clock you.
But do you think when you say that it riles people up, do you think it does anymore? Do you think the public's capable of being shocked? You know, and I think maybe people's acceptance of that this is just the way things have run off, and that's shown at the time of an election with a low turnout. I think a lot of people go, sure, why would I vote for that? They might vote for a person, but I just get a sense that people have at this point their faith in the system is so broken that they just disengage. I don't think they get riled up. It's like, oh well, sure, look at.
I think people do act like, the public has short attention spans these days, and that means short memories. But I don't specifically think that's true when it comes to politics, because if you're looking at a public who maybe only a small percentage are actively civically engaged, some of them will only get news about you when you're in the headlines. And if you're in the headlines for the wrong reasons and you're on their ballot sheet when it comes up, they will remember that. And that might be the only thing that they remember about you, because they haven't heard about any of the positive things that you're doing in your community. So they do have to tread carefully, because at the end of the day, news will get out, and that could be the only news about you that comes up. It could be the only thing that comes up when someone searches for you on Google, because you didn't make headlines for anything else, and you will make headlines for the missteps.
Yeah. Well, Greg, I think I would have said for years, and rather frustrating, that people weren't reacting to it. But I can remember a time when Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, and you talk about the system, they were the system. They ran the country for decades on end, where they were at a combined total in opinion polls of over 80%. Now they can't even make a combined total of 45%. So I think people are reacting to it, and they see other political parties as having potential not to repeat that. I don't know, are people definite about that, but I think people are willing to give an alternative a chance, because they have seen for years, whether that be whatever particular issue you look at now seems to be in crisis. I think people are reacting to that. Whether they'll get the results they think they will by voting in another way, time will only tell.
But do you think, what's your view, Martin? Do you think people are put off, or as Luke says, if they see enough on one side and are happy enough with another, they could be motivated to go out and vote?
Yeah, I think they will be motivated to go out to vote. I think, over the years, things have changed drastically. And, the voting culture has changed in this country. People now tend to vote very much for the person, maybe more so than the party, when they tend to vote and look at what people are doing in their local community or in their local area. And I think that's changing. It has changed significantly in the last 10, 20 years, and I think that's going to change more as time goes on, and as the younger generations come up, and they're not as maybe party affiliated as what the older generation was. And I think that's something that certainly is changing in politics.
Okay, you're listening to the voice there of Councillor Martin McDermott. We also have as a guest Elaine Burke, editor of Silicon Republic, and MEP Luke Ming Flanagan. And we'll be back with more from our guests and your comments after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
The latest edition of the Northwest Derby between Finn Harps and Derry City is this Friday evening, and it's live on Highland. Join us for full match commentary at the Ryan McBride Brandywell Stadium from 7:45 kickoff. Highland's coverage is in association with B&S Credit Union Ballabafay, where they have the perfect holiday loan for you. Don't delay, get your holiday loan today. Visit bnscu.ie or free phone 1800 290 390. B&S Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Half of farmers plan to cut back on stock numbers. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we published the results of an exclusive survey of over 1,200 farmers. For more, here's Paul Mooney.
Our survey reveals the biggest challenges facing farmers, their cash flow concerns and their thoughts on new government schemes. And farmers getting €500 per head more as beef prices hit €6 per kilo.
Plus, don't miss your free 20-page silage machinery special. Only inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
New this week in Home Store and More. All roller blinds are half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price roller blinds are gone, they're gone. Also, all water fountains and all pillows are still half price. But when all our half price water fountains and all our half price pillows are gone, they're definitely gone. Order online before 2 p.m. for next day delivery, or drop by your local Home Store and More. Home Store and More. A happy home.
For great food in the heart of Letterkenny's Cathedral Quarter, step into Dillon's Hotel. Using only the best local produce, Dillon's serve an extensive menu every day from 12. Perfect for a quick bite, a relaxed lunch or a leisurely dinner. Try the renowned 4-course Sunday lunch with full table service. Or if you work in town, why not pre-order and have your lunch waiting? Great food and service, 7 days a week at Dillon's Hotel Letterkenny, with live music every Friday and Saturday night. Visit dillons-hotel.ie.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring biggest ever sale. €10 million worth of stock in store and ready to take home. All tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything slashed in price. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Ireland's biggest range, best prices, and in store to take home today. Sale now on.
I'll put this one to you, Luke. A listener says, your panel will support that guns are part of American life. What don't you all get? America is a dangerous country. The bad guys aren't going to give their guns back. I don't think any of those 19 innocent children in that school had guns. I don't go with that argument. I don't know what you think, Luke.
Well, the bad guys aren't going to give their guns back, but the idea that you keep churning out more and more and more and more of them certainly isn't helping, and the fact that that won't make it perfect doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. But I mean, look, the question is, which is more important, the freedom to carry a machine gun or the freedom of your children to be safe? And to me, this is where I obviously live in a completely different headspace. I don't know where to begin by even saying that should be a debate, but apparently it's a debate. Like, I'm waiting for the next argument to be, maybe we should train 10-year-olds how to use guns so they can fight back.
If you Google that, yeah, but if you Google that, someone who has been elected in America will have stated that at some point, that maybe one gun-savvy student should carry. I'm sure it's been said. I'm sure I've read it somewhere. I mean, it's not. It sounds bizarre, but I just know someone has said it. You can be sure of it, Elaine.
Well, actually, something that's quite interesting is that mass shootings, which is defined as, I think, more than 4 people impacted in a shooting, have gone up and up over the last number of years. And a recent survey of American people on whether they would support an all-out ban on guns, the support for that is going down. And that's because people are terrified and they're getting guns to protect themselves from the potential of mass shootings. So because the US has been so ineffectual in effectively legislating against guns and taking even the first initial steps of limiting the high-powered rifles that are getting into the hands of these people very easily, they've gotten themselves into a situation where there's an entire culture of fear, and it's built around guns, that they have to try and unpick now. They've created a much worse situation of this, and they haven't even taken the initial steps to get themselves out of it.
What about,
yes,
Luke, go ahead.
One thing I found very ironic, and when I was in the Dáil, I got in a little bit of trouble for it, was the idea that somehow the US were the peacekeepers of the world, and how, it unblocks situations at times in the north, but they come over and they talk to us about peace. I think maybe it's a time that other governments went over to the United States and talked to them about peace and teach them about peace, because to me, a country where people are going around shooting each other willy-nilly, mass shootings every second week, to me, I just find it strange that they can come out then and tell everyone else in the world how to be peaceful. It might explain why there's so much trouble in the world when they're the peacekeepers.
Yeah, and the gun manufacturers and suppliers. Elaine, also too, before we bring Martin in here, at the end of the day too, though, someone has to be in a mindset to use a weapon like that, to go into a school and to look into these young people's eyes and pull the trigger and have no fear of the consequences. And then, watching the coverage, and I'm not using this language myself, but I was watching some of the coverage, and I mentioned it on the show on Wednesday, I think, whereby the news channels put up their shootings almost like it and to someone in a certain mindset, it might even look like a leaderboard. Do you know what I mean? Like that many people were killed and list them down. Like, okay, the weapon allows someone to go in and do that, but they have to be in a mindset to be capable of something like that. And I wonder, is that conversation happening over there? And if not, should it happen on a more serious basis?
It speaks to that whole aspect that, like, this situation is surely out of control. Out of control barely even covers it at this point, because, like I said, like, there's people living in fear, and sometimes people are getting shot just because someone felt threatened, not even because they planned something in advance or anything like that. But then there is a culture, and like a lot of online culture has been pulled into this debate as well, of seems to be specifically young men resorting to violence. We're still finding out more about what's happened in Texas, but the Buffalo shooting just about 10 days ago, certainly the perpetrator there had revealed some of their plans online before they went out and took action on them. So there's a lot to question here about, I mean, why are we creating these kind of people? Like, where are they coming from? And that's not exclusive to the US. I mean, there is a heightened fear now among LGBTQ people in Ireland because of the rising incidence of attacks here. I've heard of teenagers being attacked by other teenagers simply because of who they are. And I grew up in a world where that wasn't really happening, and it seems to be something that's surging up now. And I don't understand why either, but we need to get to the root cause of these things.
Such is the world we live in now, that people actively, in the moments after that attack, used it to actually falsely claim various members of the LGBTQ community were responsible for it. And they themselves then have been left in threat. Finally, on this issue, Martin, unless something else comes up before we move on, our children are exposed to this as well. They, unfortunately, that's the way it is. They hear it in the car. They talk about it in school. And a lot of parents in Ireland today, obviously nothing like what the families in America are experiencing, but are having to have conversations with their children and explain what's happening, where it happened, why it might be different here.
Yeah, it's certainly the topic of conversation, even in my own house with my own girls at school. That was what they were talking about, and among their friends, that's what they were talking about. And it's difficult for children to even get that onto their heads. And I think the big problem, Greg, is that these mass shootings, the more of them that happens, the more of them will happen, because it is making other people and putting things into other people's minds, and people that are living with issues and are living on a knife edge, and that are in a very bad place. It is making them see, well, this is done, and as you said, the leaderboard, who can hit the most, and that's an extremely dangerous place to be, and it's an extremely dangerous situation for the country to be in. But I still can't for the life of me understand, and as Lucas said, how can these people keep on going and not do something about it? And it's just mind-boggling that the country's going to keep on.
We're just so entrenched, though. I think sometimes our views on certain things can be so aligned politically that you can't appeal to someone's senses, or you can't appeal to their heart or empathy, because their views along political lines are such that if this would not soften a view, nothing will. And I think we're seeing that more around the world. I don't think it's uniquely American anymore.
Absolutely. That should be the way. But you're right. We are probably seeing more of that around the world. But
because, Luke, what I'm seeing is people who, for some reason, took a big interest in this country to American politics, are, opining and having their views on gun ownership in America because they feel some allegiance or kinship with certain political figures in America. It really is quite bizarre when a lot of these people were so removed from it. It has no real impact on us, but because some people have certain political views, then instantly they will jump to the defense of gun ownership in the United States and them living in Falcara.
Well, look, we're so immersed in American culture. I notice it with the peers of my children. They speak with a slightly American twang at this stage, and it's undeniable. And the reason I say that is because my children 3 weeks ago, and we come from the heart of Roscommon. We were asked in Brussels a couple of weeks ago, were my children from the United States of America? And I said, no, they're not. And while you may think that we all talk with a Bagara accent, it might have moved on from that. But it's undeniable. We consume so much of US culture that we slowly but surely become them. And I always remember the statement, I think it was from Mary Harney, that we're becoming closer to Boston than Berlin. And to be quite honest, I would prefer to stick with the philosophy of cheap housing in Berlin than very expensive housing in Boston, etc., and a proper social welfare system. And I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. If you live in a society where when you have a baby, you're told you're on your own at the most difficult period in your life, and when you live in a society where if you discover in the morning you have diabetes and you don't have enough money for healthcare, you have to do a fundraiser on Facebook so that you won't die. You put people in a ridiculously desperate situation and you boil that pot up, and this is what you end up with as far as I'm concerned. And that's why I wouldn't aspire to an American style lifestyle where it's the survival of the fittest, because under that system the fittest survive but the weakest get crushed. And by the way, we've all someone in our family who would be weak in that sense, and they're being crushed, and I couldn't go along with that. So keep away from that type of philosophy in Ireland, please.
Okay, listen, thank you for that. Take one more quick break. Back with our guest discussing the cost of holidaying in Ireland. Are we now officially rip off Ireland again?
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Donegal are just one victory away from an 11th Ulster Senior Football Championship title. Standing between Declanboner's men and the Anglo-Celt Cup are their neighbours, the Northwest rivals Derry. Join the Highland team for full live match commentary from the Ulster final, on air and online at highlandradio.com. Throw in at Clones this Sunday is at 4. Donegal action in the Ulster Championship is brought to you by Highland Motors Letterkenny, main dealer for Citroën cars and commercials in Donegal. The iconic Citroën Berlingo van is available to order by contacting Damien at Highland Motors.
Is your water safe to drink? If your water tastes unpleasant or has a foul smell, it may be a sign that something is in your water. Brothers Tech Donegal provide a complete private well water treatment service using the best water treatment equipment to meet your needs. Or maybe you drilled a new well and the water isn't satisfactory. At Brothers Tech, their expert team will also service existing problematic systems. If you're concerned about the quality of your water, call Brothers Tech on 087 638 7057.
Sportswear for men at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Under Armour training, quarter zips, tech tees with classic training shorts in different lengths. Nike running range with quarter zips. Nike Pro t-shirts match with a classic 5-inch Nike running short. Adidas Tiro 21 range in new seasonal colours will have you looking healthy and fit. Look the part, play the part. In store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
Buying or moving home can be a strange mixture of excitement and stress. So the last thing you need is worrying about conveyancing. Time to call McElhenney and Associates. They'll move that property transaction along swiftly, make sure everything's in order, and prevent any nasty surprises. Residential, commercial, leasing, or voluntary transfer. Call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. We'll do the paperwork, you do the wallpaper. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help?
All right, so the question is Ireland a rip-off? And if so, what will be the consequences? We recently found renting a car in Dublin, and this is part of a national conversation, but we wanted to do our own bit of research on it. We recently found that renting a car in Dublin is 4 times that in Madrid, for example, twice that in London, more expensive than Germany. Hotel prices, particularly in Dublin, are through the roof. Locally, those within the industry, except running costs are increasing. We know one hotel in Letterkenny, their electricity bill for March was 23,000 above what it was March last year. So there are increased costs that will have to be passed on, but they are claiming locally, we heard from a local hotelier, that there are those in parts of the country that are price gouging. So, I mean, does the government need to intervene? Why are we inclined to do this to ourselves, Martin? We're just out of an awful situation where the industry was completely on its knees, and there are seemingly those within it now that are prepared to shoot the golden goose, or the goose that lays the golden egg.
Yeah, it's certainly a major problem, and it's a problem that is happening all over the country at the minute. The price of hotels is absolutely out of control. It's something that for the company I work for, actually Martin Sound, that we would do every week. We would have guys down the country, and especially around Dublin, and it's impossible now, number one, to get hotels, to get accommodation, and whether it's hotels or bed and breakfast, it's impossible to get any accommodation. The accommodation that you do get, a double room, a twin room that would normally be sold for 120 or 130 euros is now 330. If you're lucky, you're getting it for 330. It's just becoming a situation where, you know, someone somewhere is going to have to pay for that.
Now, of course, you know, we, through the government, and rightly so, supported a lot of these businesses when they were unable to open through lockdown at great expense, and we'll be paying for that for a very long time. You know, does that not give the government some license, and maybe they have to some extent, to call these people in and justify what is going on? It's not all supply and demand. I mean, that is part of it. But you can go and try and book a hotel room for Bruce Springsteen next year, and you will see what happens when there's a big event on. You know what I mean? It's demonstrable what's happening. Do you think then, you know, because of the assistance they got, they need to play a bit fairer? Because
absolutely.
I'll just say one thing. Like, I think a lot of people, if they're travelling to Ireland, they'll price Dublin thinking that's Ireland. I think everyone's done. You might do that if you're going to Portugal. You'll check what the prices are in Faro and believe that's the same north and south, east and west, you know, less experienced travellers like myself. You know, so it has an impact on us as well as the capital, obviously, Martin.
Yeah, and it's going to have a massive impact on tourism for the future, especially because, you know, like, we're just coming back from a pandemic. We're just coming back from, you know, having very little tourists coming into the country, especially from America and from Europe and from, you know, overseas, that now they're coming into a country where the price has just gone out of control, and you're not going to get those people to come back. And that's a very serious situation we're putting ourselves in. And, you know, I think it's time that certainly these industries have to be spoken to and see how that can work. But there's also a problem there, Greg, that, you know, the cost for a lot of these hotels is escalating with the prices, you said, of electricity, of insurance, and of all the other things.
I think the customer will accept that being factored in. Then they'll make their own decision on their finances. It's the exploitation that seems there that people find hard to swallow.
And to be fair to here in our county here in Donegal, you know, you don't see it, you don't find it as bad, and the cost in the hotels is not the level that they are, you know, Dublin, and it's Dublin, and not just Dublin, but once you go down the south to Cork, Kerry, that side of the country,
anywhere but here, effectively.
Anywhere but here, and that's the way you feel at times when it's been sold, that it's been sold in the same manner from a national perspective, that it's anywhere but here. But that certainly is extremely high. The hotel rooms and all those areas,
Elaine,
especially as I say south.
What do you think of the situation? As I say, you know, I mean, we have to accept that costs are increasing, you know, and even if they have to pay staff better to retain those staff and treat them better, okay, those who can afford it can make that decision. But what's your view about what seemingly is, you know, tourists being ripped off in certain parts of this country? Do you think that is the case, by the way? I don't want to presume it's the case.
Certainly from when I meet people traveling, that they increasingly in the last number of years, like, this isn't a new issue. In the last number of years, when I meet people traveling, they will say, oh yeah, I'd love to go to Dublin, but way too expensive. Because I know myself from traveling that there's way better options than traveling in Ireland, and it's not just Dublin. But I mean, I'd love to see more of Ireland, but it costs a fortune to see it. And even to just travel to other parts of Ireland is made immensely difficult.
There is very good
I
value.
love Donegal, but I don't drive.
Well, listen, we can get you a bus up here. Roscommon as well. I know there've been a big push on to increase tourism in Roscommon, particularly last year. I'm not sure if it's carrying on to this year. You know, you'll save the money when you're here with the beautiful experience, Elaine, and the cheaper costs. Just get a bus up or something.
I use public transport all the time. I find it really, really difficult in Ireland. I've travelled across Europe. I've travelled all over the place, and I constantly find trains and buses that will take me anywhere and at a reasonable price. If I want to get to Cork to Sligo in Ireland, I have to go via Dublin, like for the best route and for a better price, and that won't take me all day and have to travel through the night and that kind of thing. So I mean, we're not very well connected as a country either. Like, it's not just the hotels, it's kind of everything about traveling in Ireland is quite difficult and expensive. That's what I found personally as a traveler, and that's what other travelers from other countries have told me as well. So I understand where this is coming from, but you get this situation where hotel prices are high, and they are high across the board, again, not just in Dublin. That will create space for a company, a disruptor like Airbnb, to come in and encourage people to let their homes and available living spaces on Airbnb, because even a competitive price against the hotels will be a great moneymaker for these people. And we're in the middle of a housing crisis, and we're letting that happen as well.
74 times more houses available on Airbnb to rent in Donegal than there are those open to the rental market more generally. But Luke, just from your perspective, and you can take a European angle on it, or whichever angle you choose for that matter, when we talk, we compare Dublin to London to Frankfurt to Madrid. We see we're four times that of Madrid in terms of car hire. That's just one expense. 3 times that of Frankfurt, twice of London. And I presume all of these countries are facing similar challenges because of the global situation. Are we ripping people off here, do you think?
Well, all I know is I rent a 2-bedroom apartment in Brussels, in whatever, I think all the areas are nice in Brussels, but in a particular area of Brussels, it wouldn't be the cheapest area, it wouldn't be the most expensive area, and I rented with a colleague, €1,050 per month. The equivalent apartment in Dublin, and I've done a bit of a survey on this, is the closest I could get was €3,200 per month. But there's one massive difference between Belgium and Ireland and many other places. Belgium hasn't, with wide open, outstretched arms, welcomed vultures and investment funds to compete with people who were buying their houses. The same as we had incentives to buy property in Roscommon about 15 years ago, and myself and my neighbours and my wife had to compete with all of these people. And it's why the houses are still actually worth less now than what we actually paid for them. So what we have created is a situation whereby before anyone ever decides to go out to work, they have to look at what are my bills going to be. And one of those bills, and a massive bill, is going to be how much will I have to pay to rent my property. And in Ireland, you are looking at a higher bill in cities and many places, even in Roscommon at this stage, than anywhere else. So you're going to have to demand higher wages, and that trickles through to your end costs and the bottom line, and that does drive prices up. Likewise, we have a situation whereby, and look, you can say wind turbines are good or they're bad, but we have constructed an energy system in this country that it's everywhere, it's all around us. But no matter how much of it that we have, it has not made our energy costs cheaper because we don't own any of it and we have no control over it. So before you go out to work, you have to decide, well, how much will I need to cover my costs, which now means I'll have to pay more for my heat than I do in Brussels as well. Pay more for my water. I go out, I buy a bottle of water in Brussels, 80 cents in a small shop. 180, 250 in Ireland. So people, it isn't that people are being greedy, it's that they need enough to cover their costs. And in Ireland, you need more to cover your costs.
Yeah, but I know exactly what you're saying and right, but just, and I think it's actually even probably more interesting because it affects more of us that the road you went down. But one of the things we are reliant on, though, is visitors into this country, okay?
Yes.
And there are those within the industry that are, exploiting that, or at least that's the sense.
Without a shadow of a doubt, you're going to get that in every industry. But people who are smart in industry, no more than what the lady talking about, Elaine, mentioned, that someone will find, if there is a cheaper way to do it, someone will find a cheaper way to do it. But still, it is massively expensive, no matter what way you go about it. But we did make a decision here, and I would agree with this decision, but inevitably it's going to lead to an increase in costs, and that we made the decision to take in many, many, many refugees from Ukraine. And I'm glad we did. I rent a house myself in Castlereagh for a family to try and help them out. But that inevitably will mean that it will drive up the costs, and that will affect tourism. But we knew that when we did it. So I think the government need to put up their hands and say, this is a price we will have to pay. This is a price we are prepared to pay, because they made that decision. Because inevitably, if there's two people looking for an apple as opposed to no one looking to buy an apple, the price of the apple is going to go up. But of course, there are people exploiting that. And we need to deal with that through our tax system, because if people are exploiting it, they're making massive profits, and those massive profits should be taxed. And people like myself should be taxed more as well, because we get paid too much.
Well, I mean, it's not a tax, but I can give you my IBAN number if you want to share the love. There's no problem in that regard. I can relieve you of some of that burden of overpayment if you wish. Martin McDermott, you're at the coalface, though, in terms of the more general point as it relates to, the 70-odd more Airbnb available versus long-term rent. And your local representative, you're getting contacted by an awful lot of people. Luke mentioned the pressures that are going to increase because of our welcoming in the Ukrainians. And I think the government, in their own report, it's confirmed the inevitable that there is going to come a point where people who've been living here for longer are going to say, they're upset towards houses being made available to Ukraine, school bus places, and all that kind of stuff. It's going to come up. It's going to raise its head more and more. There's a lot to deal with over the course of the next year on a local level.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of Ukrainians. In my own parish in Malin, there's about 80 that have moved into Malin, between Malin Village and just slightly outside Malin, and some to accommodation in Malin Head as well. And there's more that will be coming to other parts from Cranley, Carndonagh, and on other areas. The community, the general community, has worked extremely well with them and put great resources in place through both the Gardaí and the local clubs. And the local link plays a vital part in that as well for getting them about from area to area. But there's certainly a lot of accommodation that will be taken up. There's a number of Airbnbs now that are taken up by bringing Ukrainians in and housing them during this crisis. But that is going to have a knock-on effect then again to the amount of people that we can bring into the county in relation to tourism over the summer. And again, that is another reason why, I suppose, the price of things are going up. But, the housing crisis here that we have to deal with, and there's going to be lots of issues, as everyone knows, over the next year or two, 10 years probably, in relation to the amount of houses that we need, the issues that we're going to have with people having to leave their own homes and going into for the Micah situation.
So that as well, and then we're encouraging people to move back home to work remotely. And I think the government really recently announced €400,000 for Donegal County Council to bring rural properties, abandoned properties in towns and villages. I mean, they'd give more to that to two contractors to finish two houses as part of other schemes that's announced. I mean, that money's not worth it.
Yeah. It's not near enough, and there's so many houses out there. I mean, I went to someone recently that was doing a sort of a survey and parts here of Inishowen, and the amount of houses that were vacant, and like there were certain parts of Inishowen here that the number of houses were about 400, and there was 160 of those that were vacant. in one
For what reason, though? Holiday homes or abandoned?
Holiday homes,
A
vast majority are holiday homes.
Elaine, I'll come back to you. I want to bring Elaine in here. Elaine?
Yeah, I think the points that Martin's raising there, these existed before Russia ever invaded Ukraine. And I'm really wary of this argument that's arising, that's scapegoating this Ukraine crisis and making that the very convenient excuse the government has for all of its failings that have been taking place over the last number of years. That's, first of all, a dangerous route to go down. It's going to create divisiveness among our communities when we should be welcoming these people and supporting them because they are going through a crisis that we have luckily not had to endure. And the fact is, I mean, even Roderick O'Gorman is blaming the end of direct provision is not going to happen because of the Ukraine crisis. It's like, well, that was promised years ago. So this crisis just arose.
But we do that, don't we? Paul Reid's blaming over 75s waiting 30 hours for access to ED because of COVID. I mean, this is the pattern we're in.
Hotels have been full of homeless people for years now. It's not just that refugees have come and taken these spots. This homelessness crisis, this housing crisis, all of these problems existed long before Putin made any move on Ukraine, and I really don't accept that as an excuse for these failings.
Yeah, well, I just want to be clear. I'm not making that as an excuse. Absolutely not making that as an excuse. There's been no one or no area that has welcomed or has done as much for the Ukrainians than our own here in the show, and we're certainly not making that as an excuse. But it's a reality as well that there are a vast amount of people coming on. We have to deal with that, but it's absolutely no excuse. In relation to the housing, there's a major issue in relation to housing and the lack of housing, the lack of social housing, and that has been absolutely over the last 20 years multiplied and hasn't been dealt with, and now we're in that position. But sorry, to be fair, but just to make the point, Greg, that we're absolutely making no excuse for that, and as I say, that no area has welcomed the Ukrainians as much as Inishowen has.
Elaine, did you want to come back there?
No, I did want to say, I'm not saying that Martin is saying that. I'm seeing that a lot in the media now. Politicians coming out and conveniently blaming this Ukraine crisis on everything. Business people are blaming it on everything. It's being blamed for the rising cost of living, which was happening before Putin invaded Ukraine.
Yeah, and it's happening in other countries that are not accepting any Ukrainians at all as well. Luke?
Yeah, and look, the simple reality is I would welcome not just refugees from Ukraine, I'd welcome refugees, anyone who needs help. But if you make a decision to put refugees in hotels, which I would agree with, that inevitably means, and there was a serious struggle anyways, it inevitably means those rooms won't be available for tourists. And that is a fact. I don't think that's a bad thing, though. I think it's more important to help someone fleeing from war than it is for people to have affordable holidays. In the same way as I would think it was more important that people got places to stay when they fled Ireland during the famine to go to Boston than it was for someone going on some sort of a little holiday from New York to Boston at the time.
I know, but
it gets get a place to stay. And I would say, tough. Holidays are great and people need holidays. But if it's a choice between that and catering for someone who's a refugee, they're a refugee every single time, because that's the most important thing that we can do. And I would support that. But to say there's going to be as much space available at the same time is just to be in denial.
Okay.
You can tell the truth and at the same time not be scapegoating. The government could have done more in advance. They knew what was coming, and we can criticise them for that, all right.
Luke Flanagan, thank you very much for your time this Friday morning. I appreciate it. Good to have you on the programme.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Martin McDermott, have a good one. Thank you very much for joining us again.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks, Elaine.
All right, Elaine, listen, thank you very much for your time this morning. It's very much appreciated, and hopefully we'll see you again.
Thanks, Mel. Thanks, Greg.
Right, take care of yourself. Thank you. That is Elaine Berg, editor of Silicon Republic, Councillor Martin McDermott and MEP Luke Flanagan, back with the weather and news after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Breaking gardening news. Our correspondent Petunia at Alcorn's Garden Centre.
I am surrounded by an array of spectacular summer bedding. These beauties are moving fast, with last year's prices held. Wow! I'm amazed by the choice of shrubs, trees, roses and perennials. Ah, Rosemary has just selected a super specimen plant and trendy ceramic pot. Oh, Craig is advising on the many baskets. buy from Alcorns, where value happens every day.
The Groom's Room at Evolve Clothing in the Letterkenny Retail Park has the best value and selection in suiting for your wedding day.
It's a busy time on farms, so watch out for tractors, trailers and other farm machinery using the roads. Be patient, slow down and only overtake farm machinery when it's safe to do so. If you're driving a tractor, you must hold a licence. Make sure your vehicle is roadworthy, check your load regularly and drive at a safe speed. Be aware of traffic building up behind you and when possible, allow cars to pass safely. From the Road Safety Authority and the Irish Farmers Association.
This is a notice for all tractor and agri-plant owners. Minimise your downtime when you need tyres and call Donegal Tyres Donegal Town. We can go to you and fit your tyres on site or repair your existing tyres if you have a puncture. Don't waste time and leave the hassle to us. So call Donegal Tyres now on 074 9721 482 to organise your call out.
A huge sale is now on at McGinley's Furniture, Letterkenny. It's a chance to save hundreds of euros on floor model suites, beds and mattresses, dining and occasional furniture with reductions in all departments. It's a great opportunity to grab a real bargain in the big sale at McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Fancy a city break this summer? You can now fly twice weekly to beautiful Cologne in Germany every Sunday and Thursday with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okay, so the weather forecast, a sunny day, temperatures 13 or 15 degrees in light, moderate westerly winds. Back with more after the news.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. €23 million is to be spent on the HSE's capital plan for Donegal in the coming months. Minister Charlie McConalogue says it'll enable the HSE progress some very important projects. With more, here's Michaela Clark.
The €23 million to be spent in Donegal under the HSE's latest capital plan includes initial works for a number of projects announced earlier this week, including new community hospitals in Letterkenny and Ballyshannon and improvements to existing facilities in Stranorlar, Buncrana, Carndonagh, Ramelton, Falcarra and Dunloe. The provision of an ambulance base at St Joseph's Hospital in Stranorlar is also included, as is a new intellectual disability adult day services facility at the Cleary Centre, Donegal Town, the Newton Cunningham Primary Care Centre and the provision of 4 family beds at the Donegal Hospice, which will be self-funded. Works are also included at Letterkenny University Hospital, including new accommodation for the physiotherapy and occupational therapy departments, works at the acute mental health unit, lab extensions and the extension of the existing haematology and oncology day units.
And there's a full list of all the funding outlines available on our website, highlandradio.com. Advocacy group As I Am has criticised plans for special education centres which they believe would lead to autistic children being segregated from their peers. The Minister of State with responsibility for special education has clarified the proposal is in an early stage, and she says consultations with groups including As I Am have not yet begun. Leaked government plans revealed the proposal. It's intended that they'll be for children with intellectual disabilities who can't secure a school place. Well, the CEO of As I Am, Adam Harris, is opposed to such facilities. He says this basically is down to poor planning.
Every single summer we find ourselves in the exact same position around this, and at some stage you have to ask, how do we break the cycle? Why every summer is there a shortage of places? And we believe that there's simply not enough joined up thinking and planning throughout the academic year to prevent that. And, you know, the reality is, even in the last number of weeks, we've struggled to get a clear picture from the NCC or the department about how many children we're actually dealing with.
A delegation of fishing industry representatives and politicians from fishing communities is travelling to Brussels to make the case for Ireland's fishing fleet to be allocated a fairer share of the fish in Irish waters. The visit's being hosted by Sinn Féin Midlands North West MEP Chris McManus. He says the sector's been in a difficult situation for decades, and that's been exacerbated further by Brexit. Chris McManus told Highland Radio News the delegation will be putting forward practical suggestions to improve the situation.
So they will be meeting key politicians who are on the Fisheries Committee, but also key Commission officials who are the ones who ultimately make quite a lot of decisions around the fishing industry and our needs. We've been hurt over many decades of neglect, but this has been amplified by the recent Brexit deal and what has effectively seen the fishing industry thrown under the bus. So what we need to do is not only go out and be able to highlight the problems, but also put forward proposals for urgent changes that we want the EU Commission to take on board.
The Stormont Assembly meets again on Monday to make a second attempt to elect a speaker. It's after a Sinn Féin recall motion gained sufficient support for that to happen. However, the Assembly can't do business until a speaker is appointed, and the DUP has confirmed it will continue to block such an appointment as part of its protest about the Northern Ireland Protocol, which it says must be changed. Well, Donegal to Padraig McLaughlin says the reality is, in the interim, it's the people of Northern Ireland who are suffering as a result.
The people of the North want their politicians to pass a budget to invest money in the health service to help the families in the North with the cost of living crisis. That's what they're demanding. And any concerns around the protocol should be resolved in negotiations between the British government and the European Union.
Looking at the weather forecast, and Met Éireann tell us it will be sunny today with highest temperatures between 13 and 15 degrees Celsius, light to moderate northwesterly winds, staying dry into tonight with clear spells, lowest overnight temperatures 4 or 5, again a light northerly breeze. Tomorrow dry with sunny spells, highest temperatures 14 to 17 degrees Celsius, again light to moderate northerly winds. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices for this Friday morning, the 26th of May. The death has occurred of Bridget Eddie Henry McGrenahan, née Carr, Gortna Fanad. Bridget's remains will repose at her late residence from 6 o'clock this evening, with removal from there on Sunday afternoon at 1:30, arriving in St Mary's Church, Fanavolti for 2 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. The funeral cortege will travel from her home via Tullyconnell, Tullynadall and Kindrum on the afternoon of the funeral. The Requiem Mass can be viewed via the St Mary's Fanavolti and St Columba's Mass Mount Facebook page. The death has taken place of Olive Borland, Cloughfin, Rosnakill, Fanad. Wake at her home from 11 o'clock this morning, with family time please from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. Funeral arrangements will be confirmed later. Family flowers only please, donations if desired, to the Motor Neuron Association and Gideon's International, care of any family member, or Patrick Sweeney, funeral directors. The death has taken place of Anne Nelson, 143 Lower Main Street, Strabane. Remains reposing at her residence with family time please from 10 o'clock tonight. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 9:20 for 10 o'clock Requiem Mass in Sacred Heart Church, Derry Road, followed by interment in the St Mary's Cloughourse Cemetery. Strictly no flowers please. Donations in lieu if desired to SPUCNI, care of Eugene MacDade. The death has occurred of Bernard Barney O'Reilly, Barracole House, Old Brook Court, Letterkenny. Funeral from his late residence this afternoon for Requiem Mass at 1 o'clock in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, followed by interment in Newleck Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. House private please before the funeral. Family flowers only, donations if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member, or Con MacDade, funeral director. The death has taken place of Jimmy Sweeney, the Rosnakill, Fanad. His remains are reposing at the family home with Requiem Mass today at 12 noon in St Columba's Church, Massmount, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please, donations if desired, to the Day Centre Fanad, care of any family member, or Eamon Scott, funeral director. And the death has occurred of Paul Brennan, 7 Sprackburn Drive, Letterkenny. Paul's remains are reposing at his mother's residence at High Road, Letterkenny. Funeral from there this morning for Mass at 11 o'clock in St Eunan's Cathedral, followed by private cremation in Lakelands Crematorium in County Cavan. The funeral mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The house is private please before the funeral this morning. Family flowers only, donations if desired, to the Rainbow Project, Derry, care of any family member. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.ie. peacekeepers.com.
You're very welcome back to the programme. Thanks once again to Elaine, Martin and Luke for their contribution. You can have your say on our social media, by the way. Our daily poll today, this is across our Instagram, Facebook stories and on Twitter. Go there if you want to have your say. 323 warning letters were sent to children for neglecting their children's education, meaning over 20 school days were missed. Now, we know for an awful lot of reasons why those days might have been missed, but anyway. TD Dennis Nocton, he says these parents should be docked social welfare if they're on social welfare. Do you support this? Right, so head over to our Instagram and Facebook stories and Twitter to have your say on that, which is today's daily poll. We'll announce the outcome for you a little later on. Some of your comments, look, lack of male or female role model in families is epidemic and is contributing to the alienation in society, especially when parental alienation is being announced. This is allowed. This is lifelong. Of course, sometimes dads and mums can't get access to the children. Often, too, they simply don't want it. I was in 2 different premises in Milford last week. I ordered a Gordon's gin, no mixer in one place. It was $3.80. The other premises was $5.90. Disgraceful. Not even $5.90 in Temple Bar. Another, the hotels were at €800 for the dates of the Bruce Springsteen concert. For anyone needing a hotel in Dublin for a hospital stay, if you bring proof of appointment to McGettigan's Hotel in Dublin, they will lower your price. Also, too, it is important that people, and we've said this before, and we've proven it with surveys, don't just take the prices on the likes of booking.com. They don't have access to all of a hotel's room. They have an access to some of them. And, sometimes you can get better value even late in the day by contacting the hotel directly. In fact, more often than not, you will get better value. I think we use the likes of these websites to sort of check because it's handy. You can check lots of places at once, but they don't have access to the whole hotel. The hotel owners do. Ring reception. You'll often save money. Councillor Michael McClafferty was on to comment. We seem to be going down the same route of the Celtic Tiger years ago. People are setting a price and getting it. This isn't just hotels, it's tradespeople as well. I don't know where it's going to end. Everything is going up and the wages aren't. But the thing about the scale, the tradespeople, is that, there's huge demand on their time. There's huge demand on their time, and they're facing increased costs of materials, diesel, petrol, and they have to pass it on as well. And they're a skilled set of people, and that they're in great demand, and they can, go to other parts of the country and earn an awful lot more than they are here, but choose not to. But they have to price what the market will pay, I suppose. I booked the 5-star Marion Hotel in Dublin for July, the night of the Westlife concert. Got it for 423 people. Sorry, for 400. Can you imagine? That'd be a squeeze. I got it for €423 for 2 people through booking.com. Is that good value? I suppose it is. It's a good hotel, isn't it? Greg, Ireland was always a rip-off. It's not just this year. There are hotels in this country, and I don't see how they justify the prices they charge. They justify it through bookings, though, don't they? I mean, they're not going to sit there. If they're not selling the rooms, you can't get a room in Dublin a lot of the time now. So, they will find someone who has the money to pay it. 2 nights bed and breakfast in Galway was quoted $895 and $950. That's just for 2 people sharing a twin room. It's ludicrous. No wonder people are going abroad. They can't afford to stay at home. Ted Cruz, he says the school wasn't fortified because he's in their pocket. That's why Piers Morgan was shipped out of the USA when he had Larry King show. He taunted the NRA and bit off more than he could chew. His rating figures went through the floor as well, though, in fairness, but I'll take your point. The Galway tent is back, and it was in Punchestown. One TD said, nothing to see here, and I'm not squealing. There were no rules, but they can make one to suit them. Pull no punches with the punters. Caller believes it's a mental health problem that needs addressing in America regarding gun shootings. I've lived there for many years with my family. Children were born there. Yes, but there are going to be, say, for instance, and everything can't be blamed on mental health. Just because someone does something that you believe that they have to have a mental health problem, it doesn't actually mean that is what's going on. Okay, and a lot of people who function as best as they can, and you wouldn't know it, might have a mental health problem, in inverted commas, and they go about their everyday life, rearing their children, working and everything. So we have to be careful with the language there. But I presume in other parts of the world there are people in an equal mind space, but they do not have access, as soon as they turn 18, to automatic weapons. You know, what is the function? You don't go hunting bears with an automatic weapon, do you? You don't shoot tin cans or pheasants with an AK-47. There's only one function for them, and that is to kill a lot of things at one time, and unfortunately it's humans. So we're equipping people in certain parts of the world with equipment that they can do this with, and yet there are people in the same headspace potentially in other parts of the world that couldn't do this because they don't have access to those weapons. But this caller says every film today you see is action-packed and filled with gun violence. It's making an impression on young minds. They are seeing it all the time. Who is to blame, really? Right, okay. It is the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. Thank you so much for all of your comments. I want to mention a couple of things, by the way, just before the bingo numbers. And let's start with this. Oh, I have it here. A coffee morning is taking place in aid of our Ukrainian friends. It's in the Malin Hall tomorrow between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Donations of baked goods would be greatly appreciated. And that's a notice coming in from the Malin Ukrainian Support Group. So if you're in the Malin area, the Malin Hall tomorrow between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m, a coffee morning in aid of our Ukrainian friends, and you're invited to bring in your baked goods, as that would be greatly appreciated. My brother says a caller is coming from London for the Garth Brooks concerts in Dublin in September. The cheapest he can get for 2 people for 2 nights is €1,200. Wow. I mean, at that stage, you are better off, if you can, booking outside of Dublin and commuting in and out. There's decent connections down there. I don't think anyone could justify that. We were lucky, in fact, at the time of the announcement of those concerts, booking somewhere down there, and seemingly got good value when you look at what other people are paying. Okay. Loads to come on the show, by the way, including the entertainment slot, the entertainment item. That's entertainment is what we call it. It's coming up after 11 o'clock, and so much more besides. Stay right where you are.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday the 27th of May. You're playing on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S5. It's game number 21. The numbers are 34, 40, 68, 8, 63, 16, 75, 10, 39, and finally 13. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
When your new smart meter arrives, it's going to change everything about how you use electricity. And Electric Ireland is ready to help you enjoy it all. From choosing your own billing date to saying goodbye to estimated bills and taking more control over your usage, you'll be able to make better energy choices for you and for Ireland. So the better it'll be for everyone. Search Electric Ireland smart meters today. Electric Ireland. We're brighter together.
With the summer here, it's time to think about freshening up the paintwork on the outside of our homes. But the important thing isn't just the colours we choose, it's the paint. Fleetwood Weatherclad Masonry Paint uses the highest quality ingredients for a richer colour and a long-lasting finish that helps protect the walls of your home. And it's Irish made, designed to work with the ever-changing Irish light. Would one range of paints transform your home? Fleetwood would. Naturally.
Sabrina Robb here from Donegal Hearing Clinic. If you're struggling to hear everyday conversations or find it difficult to understand people in a crowded room, you may have hearing loss. Problems like these are common, and we're used to helping people resolve them. We offer hearing assessments and will discuss your options. You can call us on 074 91 88 470 or visit donegalhearingclinic.ie. Life sounds brilliant with Donegal Hearing Clinic, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
If you're thinking of changing some furniture, a huge sale is now on at McGinley's Furniture in Letterkenny. It's a chance to save hundreds of euros on floor model suites, beds and mattresses, dining and occasional furniture, with reductions in all departments. It's a great opportunity to grab a real bargain in the big sale now on at McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny. See mcginleysfurniture.com.
Right, you're welcome back to the programme. So we were talking about, some of those within the hospitality tourism, not necessarily around here, but down the country, perhaps exploiting the situation of a big boom in people coming into this country. But for sort of regular business, there is also great challenges because a lot of places simply cannot find staff, people to work. Councillor Martin Harley is of the Vintners Federation of Ireland. He's their Donegal spokesperson and owner of Cheers Bar in Ballybofey. And you are amongst many, Martin, struggling to get staff. How bad is it out there?
Yeah, it's very difficult, Greg.
Right, okay. I'll tell you what we might do. We might return to you on a phone line, Martin, because I think Martin's experiencing some technical difficulties there. So stay with us. We'll get Martin's view in a moment. We were talking yesterday about a dog owner who wanted to go out and about in Donegal. They went to Murder Hole, I believe it was. There's a new path there. There's a sign up saying no dogs even on leads. And then they went to, I think it was Fanad Lighthouse, and they were not necessarily welcome everywhere there with their dog. And of course we're seeing dogs being banned in certain parts of blue flag beaches and what have you. So that opened up the conversation to you out there again, and some of you messaged in. Dogs, this caller says people should always keep them on leads. At Sleeve League, dogs off leads have scared sheep, causing sheep to jump off the cliff. They don't generally die immediately, but have to painfully starve to death as they can't be rescued. And also, cliff edges are dangerous for dogs too. I know of a holiday couple who had their dog off a lead at St John's Point. The dog slipped and was lost to them forever, and naturally they were heartbroken having to go home without their beloved dogs. Trina Roston has no problem with dogs roaming free, never more than 6 people on the beach, and it's just gorgeous. White Strand at Fanad is also great for letting your dog run freely. Right, okay, we'll come back to those comments. We're going to go back to Martin Harley there. Martin, you were saying, I was asking you, sorry, and you were about to answer. How bad is it out there in terms of getting and recruiting staff and retaining them?
Yeah, it's very difficult at the moment, Greg. We talked as members. It's all throughout the county within all the hospitality sector, not just bars, restaurants, hotels. Skilled people, especially like chefs, are very shortage out there for food offerings. And what I see as well is a lot of businesses that would have opened 7 days are only opening 4 or 5 days now because they can only get enough staff for one shift. They haven't got enough staff to cover the whole week, so they're only open 4 or 5 days, which will affect the tourist industry during the summer because there'll be less places for eating houses and all that there. So it's going to have knock-on effects for the whole sector, and you hope that people, when they come this year, that we hope they will come back again next year. But if we don't have the proper experience, then it may be detrimental to the industry going forward as well.
Yeah, because and there's a fantastic relationship there, of course, between, say, for instance, students or younger people. They can make a few euro working in the local bar or restaurant, and it's good for them, arguably, and it's good for their employers as well. But that doesn't fill the void, presumably, of the skilled staff that you also need on the floor or behind the jump. And that's where you're missing out as well, as you've been mentioning.
Yeah, that's where you're missing out as well. And it is a great opportunity for, as I always say, for students to come in and work in bars and restaurants. Because what it means is, which most students do now, when they go for a year away after they finish school or college, and they have the skills to go and get work somewhere because they have the skills for the hospitality sector, whether they go to America or Australia or elsewhere. And it's always a great advantage to them that they can walk in somewhere and have work. And I would always encourage young people to try and get a few days a week and try and learn the skills, and they'll always have it under their belt in a way. Even if they never use it again, it's always good to have.
Yeah, it's a great way to socially interact. Also, a problem I think we have is that, I remember in the past, maybe around, the turn of the century, whereby we had an awful lot of people from other parts of Europe working in Ireland. I don't see a huge influx in that regard because there's a few things going on. Firstly, the cost of living. Secondly, they've got nowhere to live. I do know some businesses do provide accommodation, but not on the scale that's probably required. So we can't really necessarily look to other parts of Europe to try and fill these voids, because I would say a lot of them would say, by the time I go over there, I'm away from home and the wages that are available, do I even have somewhere to stay? So that we can't fill the void that way, or the vacuum that way.
No, that is another issue as well. And I think what should be rolled out quicker is giving work visas to people coming into the country that have left other countries. And I think that because of issues that are going on in their countries, and I think we should try and encourage to get these people a lot of those people come into the country, they want to work, and they're not allowed to work, some of them, because of restrictions on that there. But I think we should be encouraging them and making it more accessible for them, because it's given them more pride in living in this country as well. And they're not coming here because they want our system. They want to make a life for themselves, and I think that's something that we need to be urgent.
Yeah, but we have the infrastructure to accommodate that, though, as I say, because the basic one, housing.
Oh, that is the basic. That is a big issue at the moment, and I know myself that for, I don't know, whatever chance you have in the west of Ireland, if you're living in the east of Ireland, you're definitely any accommodation, you're looking at $2,000 per month. So it's a massive, there's a lot of work ahead.
Also, people might go out there, and you'll argue you already are, not you specifically, but the industry. If you pay people better, maybe try 4-day weeks or whatever, maybe you might retain staff. And there's always going to be something to that. But I do think, and I think retail is suffering the same problem as well, that we are seeing other industries, other job opportunities, other people hiring people, maybe with better pay, maybe with better conditions. Like, I think there's a huge amount of people that you had access to pre-COVID that have used that opportunity to reskill or change directions in their lives. I don't even know if you, put an extra €2 or €3 or €4 per hour on the wage, whether you'd be able to attract them back. I think those skills have been lost to the industry.
A lot of those skills have been lost because, and let's be honest about it, it's unsociable hours. A lot of it is unsociable hours, and which probably I must admit myself, when the 8 o'clock closing came in, it probably was great for people who are working in the sector all their lives, like myself. It's been in it for over 30 years. That you were home by 9, half 9 at night, which was fantastic, instead of 1 in the morning. So, and it is, and it's weekends. It's weekend work, it's Easter, it's Christmas, it's Paddy's Day, it's bank holidays, and that's...
You're not selling it to me, Martin.
No, I know.
I'm not going to hang up the mic.
No, I understand that, Greg, but I know that, but the great thing about it is, I know a lot of people that have worked in the industry that love it, and it is a great way of it's a great life. I would recommend it to anyone, because and it's great for people, for building their personality and their confidence and all that there. And it's a good environment, and but it's just the challenge of, as I say, there's so many now people, the factories, and people can work from home and from other jobs. So this is taking people away. That I know people that were in the industry for over 30 years that have left during the COVID because they've seen other ways of other jobs that they could work from home with, and they've reskilled, as you say, and they're doing those jobs now. And it's going to be very hard to attract those people back, but we have to try and upskill the people that we have as well. And probably that's something that the vintners are doing, was trying to get a course to Griffith College there for our bar managers and all that there. So that is something that the vintners are working on, to upskill people and give them more skills and give them more qualifications as well.
Adrian Cummins, who's represents restaurants, he posted on social media, when one suggests that we get 150,000 people off the unemployment list, the left has a panic attack. He said there are 150,000 citizens in this country claiming unemployment assistance when there are thousands of jobs available across the state. Time for a national conversation. Would you have any sympathy for his point of view that there are people sitting at home collecting unemployment assistance, 150,000 of them, and a third of those would satisfy the needs of your industry? Is it too, and I don't concur, and I don't even like reading it out, but as I say, he's the head of an association, is it too advantageous for some to stay at home and receive social welfare than take up the offer of a job in a bar, restaurant, or hotel?
Well, it's not. As I say, we're looking at a skilled industry as well. It doesn't suit everyone. This industry doesn't suit everyone. The same way that a building site doesn't suit every young fella, or vice versa. So it's probably, I think probably Aileen Cummins come out of that comment probably out of pure frustration from what he's getting from his members, but I don't think that. I mean, at the end of the day, people coming into this industry need certain skills as well. Like, it's not just going to a bar now anymore and you serve drink. You have to be able to be a barista. You have to be able to make cocktails. You have to be able to deal with people. So it's not everybody that can.
Well, then, with everything you're saying, that all roads lead into one direction as well, too, that do we need to do more to push the industry? But I think there are some moves in this regard, but you can always do more to people, school leavers or those who will be leaving school, to see this as a viable career path. But for everything that you've outlined, you'd wonder how it is going to be a hard sell.
It is going to be a hard sell, Greg, and as I say, that's how frustrating it is, and I can see how Aileen Cummins is frustrated, and I know as well from our own new Paul Clancy, our new head of the Vendors Federation of Ireland, who lives in Donegal, by the way, which is great for Donegal, hopefully going forward. And this is the challenge. What we need to look at as well, probably for students that are working, that it doesn't affect their SUSI grants as well. I think that's something that we can be looking at, that the money they get from their part-time work during the summer, it doesn't affect their SUSI grants. That will be important as well, Greg. I think that those are the.
But the industry too, though, has to look at, as I said earlier on, 4-day weeks, shifts maybe that working evenings might suit some people, working days might suit another. Maybe, knowing that you could have 2 weekends off a month. Maybe that's already there. I don't think it's there right across the board. But it's going to take that kind of flexibility from the employer too, so people can go, right, okay, I can give up 2 weekends and the odd bank holiday, but I want my life as well.
Yeah, no, that is the conversation, and probably we had the VFI All Ireland Conference was on in Tullamore there a few weeks ago, and that was a conversation that we were having around at the group meetings, that we have to be looking at that. And in fairness, I agree with that totally. People have to have a life as well. You just can't spend your whole life working every weekend and every bank holiday. So we have to look at all that. We as an industry have to work on that as well, and we have to. But the thing is, the big problem is, Greg, we're back to square one again. People don't have enough staff even for one. They've only got enough staff for one shift, not even for 2 shifts, Greg. So that's. Yeah. If you can.
But obviously, it's a chicken and egg. If the egg being the better working conditions, that the chicken could follow. But you know what I mean. Yeah. I get what you. But this is an immediate problem as well. I mean, what we're talking about here is maybe something that we could get to 23, 24. We're heading into a summer season. You can see already there's a lot of people about, and they expect a certain level of service and places to be open and food to be being served. But if we can't do that, that does damage the product, the Ireland Inc.
Yeah, that's what I started off talking about, Greg, was that we worry that people coming this year, will they come back again if they're not getting the proper product that they expected to get.
All right, listen, thanks for your time as always. That's Martin Harley there. He owns Cheers Bar in Ballybofey, also the Donegal spokesperson for the Vintners Federation of Ireland. What's your views? 08660 25,000. A reminder for you, by the way, you can continue to watch the programme if you never have before on our website, highlandradio.com. You'll see the link there. Watch it in your browser. This caller says, I'm a business owner and I'm in the same situation. It's only a matter of time before everything goes pear-shaped. These people can't rely on the dole forever. Nobody has been able to leave the country, so everyone is still here and they just don't want to work. It's going to make the country go bust. But you can't compel people, can you, into work if they don't want to do that work, can you? Is that what we're saying? Another caller says it's not a skills issue, it's a wage issue. There's another thing too with that conversation that I think when we get two sections of society pitched against each other, we are doing the likes of, the powers that be's work. If people in employment are having a go at people who are receiving unemployment assistance, okay, and saying, well, if you came and worked for us, we wouldn't have that problem. That plays right into the decision makers' hands, because we're arguing amongst themselves and they're sitting back going, no one's saying it's our fault. We just have to be careful not to allow ourselves to be turned on each other, I think, because I don't think it gets us anywhere. My advice is, if you're on the dole, stay on it. I'm self-employed and I'm not entitled to any assistance, medical cards or the fuel allowance. It's very hard. I think if more support was given to those who are working, we would not be in this mess. It's not a skills issue, it's a wages issue, they say. And last for now, Greg, there should be apprenticeships that young people can learn these skills. I agree. I've worked in that industry. I enjoyed it. Ultimately, it was... it was not for me, but I did 2 or 3 years in it, and I loved the social element of it and the crack and stuff. But then it wasn't for me, and maybe that's what a lot of people have realised over the lockdowns and what have you, that type of work wasn't for them. They saw another way to live their lives. As I say, there are lots of jobs out there, a lot of people struggling to fill these jobs. By the way, you can contact us as well if you are struggling to fill a job, and you can advertise on our job spot. By the way, call us on 07491 25000. That might help you fill those spaces.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
AB Plant Exports Group are currently buying all types of excavators, loading shovels and backhoes for export from 3 tonne to 70 tonne. Contact AB Plant Exports Group today and you will receive the very best price across Ireland, north and south. For more information, contact AB Plant Exports Group on 0873 779966.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is a guaranteed €17 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Florid Letterkenny has to offer? Florid have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring, together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Florid today on 087 161 7008.
Milford Tiles, wood flooring and bathware. Milford Retail Park now open. Large range of wall and floor tiles on display and in stock. Over 70 different laminate floors to suit every pocket. Tilers and wood fitters available. New bathware showroom now open. Milford Tiles, wood flooring and bathware. 083 091 0707.
Inishowen Credit Union has recently launched Cultivate, an agricultural loan at only 6.55%, APR 6.75%. Call any of their 4 offices for more information or to make an appointment. Inishowen Credit Union, Buncrana, Carndona, Moville and Muff, supporting local farmers. Inishowen Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Your energy savings start right here, right now with Bord Gosh Energy. New and existing customers can save up to €974 with our best dual fuel offer. Find out more at boardgoshenergy.ie. Discount on our standard unit rates for 12 months with fixed term dual fuel contract. Annual savings figure compared to BGE standard rates. Offer available to new and existing single fuel customers. Unit rate and standing charge apply. See boardgoshenergy.ie for EAB prices and full T's and C's.
Country Sundays continue at the Clanry Hotel this weekend, featuring Mike Denver and his band. Tickets €15. Doors open 8:15, dancing 9 till 11. Followed by music in McGettigan's Bar. Country Sunday hot offer includes your ticket and bed and breakfast for only €70 per person sharing. Country Sundays at the Clanry Hotel with Mike Denver this Sunday.
Brian, listening to that conversation, and the conversation, I suppose the question about people being, receiving benefits versus working, you're self-employed. What's your view, Brian?
Well, I have no objections to anybody getting unemployment assistance.
Yeah.
My bad advice to them would be stay on it. Don't attempt to work, because you will get no thanks for it. I'm self-employed. I'm not entitled to a medical card because I'm self-employed. I'm not entitled to the retrofit scheme for the house because I'm not getting free fuel allowance. I'm not entitled to get my house repaired with mica because it's a second home. I made an effort to build another house, to have a small business, to encourage tourists here. So I'm not entitled to anything because I'm self-employed.
So everything's geared against you.
Everything. So enjoy your dole unemployment whilst you're having it. Don't be in any hurry to sign off. That's my advice.
Yeah, but also, that's accepting things are the way they are. The powers that be need to look at the situation, Brian, because if you're there self-employed trying to do your bit, trying to keep a roof over your head, as I mentioned, I'm sorry to hear that you have a property with mica. We don't want a situation where people feel like you just put your hands up and accept it. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be the way it is.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's how it is. So if you go to a doctor, you pay for everything. And they're very, very wealthy people, have got medical cards, and that's okay. I have no objection to that. But there's just no incentive to work.
Yeah, and I know you don't begrudge anyone anything. I can tell that from your tone, Brian. But it's clearly that you're frustrated in the situation you find yourself, and it shouldn't feel like that.
Well, I can't see people who are unemployed are a lot better off.
Yeah.
Everything that's going, they're entitled to it, and that's okay. I have no objections. It's good to see them getting it. But if you try to work, everything's against you. So.
I mean, it's work. It's business.
If I was starting out again,
you wouldn't.
I think I would just be on the dole,
Right, okay. Listen, Brian, thanks for that. Okay, listen. All right, take care of yourself. Do you agree with Brian? 086 60 25,000. All I hear is businesses can't get staff. My son's 18. He's put his CV in all businesses, shops, bar, hotels in our town, and a couple of times, and he's never got a call back. Right, well, listen. Do you want to work together on this? If you want to say what area you're in, we can put the call out there and put you in connection with businesses. Sometimes the person responsible for going through the CVs is not necessarily good at their job. So if your 18-year-old's looking for work, if you want to tell us what area he's in, we can put the call out and try and connect him with someone in that area. If that would help you, it's great if he wants to work. Maybe we can help. Get back in contact with us if... without obviously giving any names or personal details out on air. Let's see if we can connect that young person with an employer in that area. I'm more than happy to try and facilitate that. A caller said they should legalise cannabis, as it would mean young people would not have to go to dealers to buy it. Some dealers will tempt them into trying different stuff and get them addicted, making them future customers. So legalise it to cut out the dealers. We were talking to Gino Kelly, the deputy, on this issue yesterday. He said fair play to Deputy Kenny, talking sense. It's long past time cannabis was decriminalised. Let's get real. Cannabis is prevalent all over Ireland in every layer of society and all age groups. It's time for Ireland to grow up and embrace the reality of today's societal habits and recreations. Right, tour booked in from France for a tour around Donegal. There is a bus load. Everything has been booked in for months in advance. The bus company who organised received a call to say the accommodation has been cancelled on Saturday night to accommodate refugees. The people are here and now have nowhere to stay. It's becoming more and more common. 40 to 50 people, by the way. It's likely they'll just go home. That's what this person says. Listen, that's bad business, unless it was last minute. I don't know. That's not good. 40 or 50 people on a bus tour here from France, told with a couple of days to go that there's no accommodation for one particular night of their trip. They say it's widespread. Right, okay. Yesterday, we were speaking to a gentleman walking the northeast coast with his dog, and he noticed more and more crabs, bigger crabs, fresh crabs, being washed up dead on the beaches. We're going to be talking to a fisherman to get to the bottom of that, hopefully, after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
For a great early season lawnmower deal, visit Gartley Sales and Hire, exclusive stockists of Stiga in the Northwest. Mowers, trimmers and hedge trimmers. Full trade-in service available at Gartley Sales and Hire, Gartley, Letterkenny. Call 91266276.
Hear that? It's wonderful, isn't it? The sound of appreciation, of love, of gratitude and joy. Yeah, let's hear it for our ears. Love your ears. Book a free hearing test at hiddenhearing.ie. Your hearing is our expertise.
As we move into spring, it's time that we look after what is precious to us. Are you struggling with your hearing? Your hearing is an essential part of your everyday living. Hearing is our social sense and connects you to friends and family. At Connect Hearing, we are here for you with our clinics at Courtyard Shopping Centre, Letterkenny and Joyce's Chiropody Clinic in Dunlow. Our centres are open Monday to Friday, where you can avail of our hearing test, wax removal and repair services. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Wetsuit on and underwater by 8.
Aprons on, breakfast orders in, conversation flowing, loving every second.
Every day is different. There's always new faces. It really suits me.
It fits my schedule. I can see friends, do my yoga, balance work with life and enjoy both.
My career in tourism works for me.
And mine works for me.
Get a career in tourism that works for you. Visit tourismcareers.ie. Brought to you by Fáilte Ireland.
Choose your local centre for great offers this week. Like Centre Fresh Arch Whole Chicken 1.5 kilo, only €4.50. Goodfellas selected Stone Baked Thin Pizzas, half price. And in our French wine sale, La Croisade Reserve Sauvignon Blanc, better than half price, now €8. Celebrate summer. Choose Centra. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy it sensibly.
So I thought we could go to the cinema tonight.
Nice car.
Cheers. Let me get that door.
Ah, doesn't she look lovely?
Oh, hi.
That's my mum. Passed my test, but I've no insurance. So she's driving us. I'll just squeeze in the back. So I thought we could go to the cinema tonight.
Nice car.
Cheers. Let me get that door.
With Allianz Young Drivers Insurance, we'll have you on the road in no time. Save 15% when you buy online at allianz.ie. You write it, we underwrite it. Allianz. Allianz plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Standard acceptance criteria, policy conditions and a minimum premium apply.
Liam O'Brien, thank you for holding. Good morning to you.
Morning, Greg.
Nice to chat to you again. Now, we heard from a listener yesterday, noticed a lot of dead crabs washed up on the beach. He walks the northeast coasts, and he said that he's done a bit of research on the internet. There seems to be a similar problem in Scotland. He says it's gotten worse as the weeks have worn on. So, Liam, you're the man with the answer. Give it to me.
I don't know what the answer is, but you'll get crab molting. Possibly crab will start to come into molt now. You have different specimens of crab come on. You have spider crab,
yes,
which are like it's only like a king crab, but we are Irish the best, or Irish side of it. It would be it's got a invasive species. It'd be a larger crab, like. Then you get a swimmer crab, a small wee brown crab, light crab. He's like a movie brown. You'll get him along a sandy beach.
Aye, or on piers. You often see him on the side of a pier or rock in rocks.
Call a glass parton crab.
Would you eat him, by the way? Sorry, Liam.
Sorry?
Would you eat that crab?
No.
Okay.
No, it'll be we call it a wee swimmer crab.
Okay.
You will get ham coming in. At this time of year, a lot of our shellfish here would molt, or lobster would molt.
When we say molt, what does molt mean?
They shed their shell.
Right.
They shed their shell to grow. They can't grow within the hard shell. What they do is they molt out of their shell. They'll go into a crevice or they'll go into the sand, and they'll molt. They'll take the shell will shed the full body of the shell off them.
Yes.
And then they'll stay there until the molt. But when they're at that stage, depends where they are. Last year in Kerry, a large amount of crab, a big volume of spider crab molted. What as we call the swell, or the swell was up on the shore. The shore got up. They were too weak to swim out because they're very weak at that, very vulnerable, and they're washed ashore. But if they come on near the shore, when they are at that stage, they will go up. I've seen it for years as a child. Ankle daff, And around, even if where your man Jude was talking about, around there, you'll get them up along the high water tide mark, where they'll come in.
Pardon my ignorance.
That's not rare. Like,
yeah, okay. What does a crab look like without its shell on?
It'd be jelly. It'd just be soft. It'll just be soft. There'll be no shell on him. It'll just be meat. And what he'll do then, is he'll start this. That'll come as a skin, and it'll harden into a shell.
He'd be very vulnerable at that point, wouldn't he, to predators? So they will keep their head down.
That's correct. He'd be very vulnerable to other predators, seagulls, anything feeding. And you get what the anglers would look for if they're going fishing cod or something like that around England. They would look for peeler crab, a soft crab. They actually, once with the young boys would have done them selling to anglers around England.
Use them as bait?
Looking for them. Yeah, using them for bait.
But when our fishermen aren't seeing, crabs, lobsters dead in cages or nothing, there's nothing going on there. This is just the environment at the wrong time for the crab.
It just could be it's just the environment. It's just what we have here this time of year. We've got the May hurls, the one up, but there hasn't been no big show up this year.
Right.
But there has been outside one at Kildare and that earlier on. That's like what he's seen, but that's where the tides just coming. Spring's now, but you'll likely see a lot of them now with the spring tides again.
All right, okay.
And if they followed right around the beach, right around up along the river, if they look that along that, you'll see that, and you'll see maybe possibly green crab. It's the glass parton crab. They'll do the same too.
Right, and I suppose it is nature because there's birds. I presume that it's like a banquet for them with these crabs washed up.
Aye, that's more or less what it tells us. Nature's maybe taking its course. There's no pollution or anything like that.
Yeah.
It depends on the specimen of crabs you see. Like if it was brown crab, you want to maybe.
So brown crabs, the sort of dark greeny crabs. They're, what did you call them? Glass crabs.
Glass parton.
Glass parton, right? So that's one crab that we see regularly on our coasts. The brown crab.
The brown crab, what will come in? That will come in. We would get here in the loch here in Lough Foyle here.
Yeah.
You'll get them coming onto the shore. You'll come on to it. Maybe from May, June on now, you'll see them coming on. They'll start softening the small, the juvenile crab. They maybe won't leave the shore. They'll come on and they'll molt away. But you'll get hard crab in them too. But they'll molt through the summer.
What size do they grow to, Liam?
Sorry?
What size would they grow to, the brown crab?
The brown crab will grow maybe up to, what do you say, maybe a kilo.
Wow.
Up to less than a kilo or around a kilo, less than a kilo weight or whatever.
I've never seen one of those. I've lived on the coast all my life and I've never seen a crab of that size. I've only ever seen them maybe,
the bucks will grow bigger. The buck crab, the heath crab will grow bigger than the she. Sometimes you get the she's very big too.
Right.
They grow at all different sizes. There is a limited scale to the size of crab you can catch.
Do we harvest, catch and sell crabs, or is it mostly lobster?
It's common here. That's mostly what the
crab
men
fishing
around the whole coast does. Fish the brown crab fishing. The glass parton, they do fish them here. I established a fishery way back in the 90s in the river, and they go to France. They can go for whelk bait, or they can go for cosmetics. They go for different
cosmetics.
Yes, they can go for cosmetics.
What do they make? Face cream or something?
Face creams or something like that. There,
Jeez,
they go for things for like stocks for soups and seafoods and all that.
Nice, okay.
There's a few boys now who've started now fishing them in the river here. In fact, there's boys fishing them here all year in the river. Well, due to different stages, but mostly this time of year now, there's more stock of them. A lot of them bury down onto the salt or onto the thing.
Yeah.
The winter. But now coming to this time of year, they're encouraged to come on. But you'll get, I think there's about 4 or 5 different species of crab we would have there along from Greencastle up there, from brown, spider, velvet, green crab. There's a few others. There's another one. It's like a small spider village brown. We have different species of crabs here.
And if you were to eat one of them, which is the nicest?
Oh, the brown crab.
Yeah, okay.
The spider crab, the legs, or the claws, the big claws would be nice to be sweet, like.
Yeah.
Be sweet, but from now on, they come in and spawn. What they do then is the molt, the spiders. Now the boys fish them now for basically the whelk bait.
Yeah, I get you.
There is a market later on the year a small market for them, but they seem to have got evasive. They've got very evasive on the shore this last while. Coming on May, June now, they're very evasive on the shore.
Mm. So in terms of recreational angling now, those out the kayaks when the weather's safe or whatever, or the small boats, what's good to catch near enough to land? Is it pollock, mackerel, flatfish?
Well, mackerel's not really on here yet. There's normally later around on the Shone coast. Maybe the Kellybegs and the way that way, the mackerel,
St. John's
pollock.
Point and all.
Pollock would be sort of the main one now at the moment. White pollock and black pollock. They're slow yet. They're not. They have no chance. Some anglers now. They're not
getting much.
No, even on the wreck fishing now, they're slow yet. On the wreck fishing, to go off feeding, there's belts of sand eagle and all on now. There's plenty of sand eagle.
Right. Okay.
The sand eagle that comes on there when you see the gannets.
And do pollock shoal like mackerel do? They do they or?
No, the pollock will be even more homely. Like you stay to the beach where mackerel migrate.
Yeah.
They'll move. Where pollock will sit there, you can nearly put the rod down or the line down on them. Where mackerel keep moving all the time, you have to shift after them.
Yeah.
Because it must be the blood in them. They have to keep moving. You could be there fishing mackerel, and you actually come onto mackerel. Next thing, they're gone again. They move. They don't start about like.
Yeah, chasing sprat and stuff as well, presumably.
Right.
They're chasing, hunting sprat and stuff as well, presumably.
Yeah. That's where you get a lot of your mammals now. And now, maybe now along the shore, you'll see a lot of the tourists up there. You'll see like the Amazing Grace and everything out up along Malin Head, right up. Now you'll get the sprat coming in, and you'll have the whales, and you'll have the dolphins following the feed. Will be mainly sprat feed.
Yeah. And do
the dolphins then following the mackerel?
Yeah, and you following the dolphins.
We're following that.
Do the whales ever surface close to your boats when you're out there? Are they do they behave in that way?
You get the baskel. He's like stubborn swimming. He just doesn't bother you. The baskel shark, he'll come now with the warmer weather. The dolphins, you get them, but they don't. They wouldn't be really up to say the boat. You see them jumping.
And what's the biggest basking shark you've seen? Because they're huge.
Oh, maybe the size of the boat, maybe a 26-foot boat, maybe the full size of it. Massive.
And you have to get out of his way. In other words, he's not going to shift out of your way.
No, well, he knows the sound. If he knows the sound of the boat coming, he knows to get out of it, but he just goes along with mouth open. Feeding on plankton.
That's all
he's
he does,
harmless, he's just a big harmless giant, that's what he is.
And they will come to the surface, though. I mean, obviously they have to some point.
They'll be feeding this time of year now. They'll be feeding coming in plankton. You'll see them in the Irish Sea there. You'll see them up here now feeding off.
They're just vacuum cleaners of the sea, really, aren't they?
They're just.
It's astonishing the size of their eat, what they eat individually compared to the size of them. It's fascinating. Liam, listen, thanks for your time. Sorry, we wandered off there. We were on about crabs, and then I'm sort of answering all the questions I had in my head, or asking them. Sorry. Thanks, Liam.
Well, I've seen that as a child, and I would have seen that in rare times. You would see more than others. I wouldn't be concerned with pollution.
And the algae bloom, that's not about yet. You need hot, still conditions.
No, the algae bloom will be on. Greg, the algae bloom is on. It'll be on different areas now.
Right.
We'd get on the Irish Sea this time of year. We'd fish prawns. Now you come into May, you would have the algae bloom would come off the seabed. It's like an algae bloom. Your nets will go black with.
Wow. Okay.
When that's happening, your prawns will stay in their burrows. They go into wee holes or burrows, and you would get less prawns until that would move off. We call it down there to Keeler or Horhead, we call it black water.
Yeah.
But it's an algae bloom that comes off this time is the light and the oxygen that into the ground that sets off this algae bloom.
Right.
And you would actually see it in the water, like you would see it as like a purpley black or whatever.
All right.
But your nets will go black with it.
Unbelievable.
But once that come now, you would be getting better prawns. Well, prior to that, into the spring of the year, but with your prawns, your mindset of your prawns will change to where you become 2/3 good prawns. They'll change to a smaller prawn where we keep a full prawn. We would take the tail off them now. You would have to take the tail off them, but it's an algae bloom. It happens as common. It's like the leaves going off the trees every year. Like.
Right, Liam, listen, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Right. Stay safe. Liam O'Brien there. He's a fisherman and covering a lot of stuff there. All right, back after these with the weather.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union. 9102127.
Joe Gallagher Entertainments present rock and roll legends Show Waddy Waddy at Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny, Thursday 9th of June. Tickets on sale now from hotel reception, ticketmaster.ie and Joe Gallagher Entertainments. Show Waddy Waddy live at Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny, Thursday 9th of June.
Breaking gardening news. Our correspondent Petunia at Alcorn's Garden Centre.
I am surrounded by an array of spectacular summer bedding. These beauties are moving fast with last year's prices held. Wow! I'm amazed by the choice of shrubs, trees, roses and perennials. Ah, Rosemary has just selected a super specimen plant and trendy ceramic pot. Oh, Craig is advising on the many baskets. Buy from Alcorns, where value happens every day.
At Lidl, we do things every day to make life better for us all. Things like being the first retailer to work with farmers on a sustainable beef programme to improve environmental impact, donating over 600,000 meals in the last year through our partnership with Food Cloud, and helping bees by doubling our number of pollinator-friendly stores in 2022. Decision by decision, day by day, we're taking Lidl steps to a better tomorrow. Join us on our journey today at lidlsteps.ie. Lidl, more for you.
Mega deals now on at Curry's. Save €150 on the Beko American-style fridge freezer with water dispenser, now $829. And get the HP 14-inch laptop with full HD screen, now $639. Save €240. Get in-store or online at currys.ie. T's and C's apply. See website for details.
Century Complex is the perfect family day out. Treat yourself to a tasty meal at Backstage Bar and Grill, an exciting movie at Century Cinemas, and explore Century Play. Get in touch with our team today on 074 912 1976 or check out our website centurycinemas.ie for more information on Century Complex.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Fancy a city break this summer? You can now fly twice weekly to beautiful Cologne in Germany every Sunday and Thursday with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okay, the weather today, sunny with some cloud around. Temperatures 14 to 16 degrees. It is the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. Michael and Fanula joining us very shortly, and a few other guests between now and 12, but at 11 o'clock. It's news update time. Good morning, Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. €23 million to be spent in Donegal under the HSE's capital plan for 2022. Minister Charlie McConalogue says the plan will enable the HSE progress a number of very important projects in the county over the course of the coming months. They include improvements to community hospitals, 2 new community hospitals indeed in Letterkenny and Ballyshannon, also works on Letterkenny University Hospital, the Donegal Hospice, the Cleary Centre and a number of other facilities across Donegal. The HSE Chief Executive says the health service is prepared in the event of an outbreak of monkeypox on the island of Ireland. Global cases of the rare virus have risen sharply in recent weeks. The first case on the island was confirmed yesterday north of the border. A delegation of fishing industry representatives and politicians from fishing communities is travelling to Brussels to make the case for Ireland's fishing fleet to be allocated a fairer share of the fish in Irish waters. The visit's being hosted by Sinn Féin Midlands North West MEP Chris McManus. He says the sector has been in a difficult situation for decades. That's been exacerbated by Brexit, and he says the industry reps are going to Brussels with suggestions to improve the situation. Donegal Deputy Thomas Pringle says the government must look at how apprenticeships are funded in a bid to grow the programme. He said in the Dáil, the change may be needed in order to develop an apprentice programme that meets the needs of young people and also ensures that employers can hold on to their apprentices. The Donegal County Archive and Museum is seeking applications from candidates to catalogue a collection of work by the renowned photojournalist Anne Doherty. Ms Doherty travelled across the globe from 1994 to 2005. Her photographs have been donated to the Donegal Archive because of family ties to the county. An exhibition will take place in September. The County Archive is seeking someone to partially digitise and organise that exhibition. Full details on our website, highlandradio.com. And tensions remain high in Texas as the National Rifle Association prepares to hold its annual conference in Houston just days after the state's worst ever school massacre. An investigation is continuing into how a teenager armed with high-powered weapons spent an hour inside a classroom at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde without being challenged. He went on to shoot 19 children and 2 teachers dead. And we're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
OK, Donald, thank you very much for that. Michael and Fanula with us after the break.
For all your health and beauty needs, you can always rely on McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. If you need a prescription, just call or order online at mcgees.ie and it will be ready for you in advance before you arrive. For beauty and skin care, there's all the big names at great prices in store and online. And for your photo printing needs, simply download the McGee's Photo Prints app or click on the website link. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, for all your health and beauty needs, and so much more. Call 91-21409 or visit mcgees.ie.
Is your Skoda a little older? Pre-loved, perhaps? What adventures, I wonder, did it have in the past? Another family, another life, bright city lights, or a quiet country existence seeing Ireland's best sights? We don't really need your car's story. With a Skoda service, you get a complete vehicle health check, genuine Skoda parts, and free roadside assistance for 12 months.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 97 21396 or visit dmgmotors.ie.
Is your car due a service? For the month of May, get your car serviced at iMotors Letterkenny and avail of a free vehicle health check and a free oil change. For more details, check out our website or Facebook. Call us today on 074 913 4567 to book in.
Terms and conditions apply.
Small businesses often find it difficult to access the finance they need. Microfinance Ireland, the government-funded not-for-profit lender, can help. We help businesses who've been unable to secure finance from banks or other lenders. We provide business loans up to €25,000 to businesses of less than 10 employees with a turnover of up to €2 million. For more information, visit microfinanceIreland.ie or talk to your local enterprise office. Microfinance Ireland, funding small businesses in times of recovery and opportunity.
Getting value on your shopping has never been more important. That's why at SuperValue we have great offers like SuperValue Fresh Irish Barbecue Meats, only 3 for €10. Heineken 12-pack, only €15. And get new money-off vouchers every week on the Real Rewards app. For low prices that compete with anyone, it's got to be SuperValue. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
COVID-19 can still cause serious illness, especially in people at higher risk. We need to keep protecting each other. So stay home if you have symptoms. Wear a mask in healthcare settings, public transport, and busy places. Let fresh air in if you're meeting indoors. Keep hands clean. And get a COVID-19 vaccine and booster. Let's keep looking out for each other. From the HSE, for us all.
Okie dokie, it is time to put all the serious stuff to one side for the last hour of the programme where we just talk nonsense on different things. That's me, Fionnuala, she talks nothing but sense. Fionnuala, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Good to have you back.
Good morning.
It's a while since you've been on with us.
No,
a week?
A week.
Yeah, 2 weeks, that makes. Michael, welcome back.
Hello, Greg.
How are you keeping?
I'm
You're
keeping
looking very
the
fresh
best.
today.
Well, thank you very much. I had a good walk in that brisk morning air and I loved it.
Just relaxing yesterday, obviously, because you're so full of the joys of
Well, I
spring.
was at a wedding and I was partying, and today I am in recovery. But I'm
Did you dance?
I did.
Really?
I did dance.
On your own, like dancing?
I did, and in the corner.
What song got you out to dance?
It was very sad. Well, ultimately, it was an ABBA song, which is ironic because I always give out about not liking ABBA, but I wound up, So.
Yeah, and did you see any of the
Everybody likes ABBA.
reviews from that ABBA show? They're not holograms, but they built this arena for them, and they're avatars, like avatars on stage. And the first show was last night. They turned up themselves, which is very, very rare. And looking at the reviews from people who were at it, and even the most hardened of critics said that after a while they thought they were watching ABBA, and this is the future. We're going to see this.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
ABBA could theoretically be playing in multiple countries all at the same time. No, you're not convinced.
Well, am I really considering? It's not that I don't think that they probably did a good job of it, and let's face it, some of the best nights out you'd have is with ABBA tribute bands. To mind, two lads and a guitar doing ABBA, it'll get you on the dance floor. But considering the price of tickets, are we really going to spend? I mean, and if we are, we would need to start talking to ourselves. Like,
how much were the tickets?
But the tickets were like 100 and something euros.
Yeah, is that not standard enough?
For a
I think
concert?
Bruce Springsteen's going to be charging 140
No,
euro.
Bruce Springsteen's are 70 something for the standing.
Right,
'Cause
okay.
Believe you
Oh,
me, I will
she's
be
checked.
front and centre.
Yeah.
But at least when you go to see Bruce Springsteen,
He's
you
a
will
lot- he's there.
physically see Bruce.
He's
He
quite-
will
he's
physically
quite
be Bruce
true.
Springsteen.
For now,
I'm saying,
he'll sit at
like,
home too
Why
and
wouldn't
he'll
you
be
sit at home and watch it on TV?
But because you've got apparently, this is what they're saying, you've got the live band there, you've got the backing singers, and after a while it's so immersive that you think, ABBA in their prime are there up on stage. You get the full show. They do the casual talking in between songs. I think Benny, as it plays the piano, he was joking, his avatar was joking with the crowd, played the opening few bars to EastEnders, and it's hugely interactive, and the audience effectively felt that they were at ABBA. I'm not convinced.
I don't know. It does seem a little bit like some of those Black Mirror or Twilight Zone episodes where it all goes horribly wrong at the end.
That is only just a preview of what's to come, Black Mirror, anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all that show ever was.
just,
You've yet to be convinced, but there are critics, like for them with The Guardian and all, that went in there going that they thought they were just going to go and watch sort of a video of something or other, and they said that they felt that it was like being at a concert.
A real concert.
Yeah.
So
It's. I mean, I suppose when you think of it in that way, then is that going to mean that in 50 years' time people will be going to ABBA concerts? You know what I mean?
Well, this
Is
can
it
run
that-
forever.
But that's what I mean, like as in
yeah.
like that. This is you could have a live Beatles concert
Yep.
now. You could have a live. You know what I mean? The footage is probably there somewhere that they.
But
can
they
put stuff
say
together.
that really, ideally, in this, they've developed this technology. They say ideally you want the person to be alive because they put so many sensors on.
Yeah, they model them, yeah.
When they do it, yeah,
But
obviously.
I mean, you'll take what you can get if you
But
think
that's what I'm
it's the
saying.
Beatles,
Technically,
you'll-
like
yeah.
that's what they can do. But I mean, for every single person.
They say that's the future. We'll see. And don't you know, soon it'll be live, whereby, a big artist will be performing in America, and the same concert with an avatar will be happening simultaneously in
That's a
venues
good
and
idea.
cities around the place.
That's a really good idea, yeah.
I don't know. I'm so looking forward to seeing Bruce Springsteen.
You cannot
bear it.
You
But
cannot
now, Fionnuala,
resist progress. A caller
You'll be
says,
wondering, is it really him? You'll be like, is it really him? Is it him up there?
A caller says Bruce Springsteen standing tickets are €140. So if half of you going, you might get in for 70.
Oh, Bruce.
Yeah. But as you say, he
I'm
is
totally
there.
going. It's in the East Street Pound now. I've been wanting to see him for years.
Or is he?
That is the question.
Is he there?
The passing of Ray Liotta was announced yesterday.
That was a shocker. Only in his 70s.
And still out in the
I can't believe
Caribbean.
he was actually in his 70s.
No, he was in his
I
60s. He was late 60s.
Late
69,
60s, was
I
it?
think.
And he was working away
He
on
was
a
out
film.
filming. He was out filming, making a film out there, and passed away peacefully in his sleep, it seems. And he kept relevant right throughout his career, didn't he? I
Totally.
mean, obviously, there's a couple of roles that we'll associate with him, but there's other films. Was it? Here we go. I'm doing a Fionnuala. Anyway, there's
And he did TV, like TV work as well.
Policeland, Copland. He was in Copland. He was excellent in that, but he wasn't leading it, but he was good in it.
Yeah.
But
it is a shocker. Like it's just
He's just one of those people that you think is going to be around. But anyway, he has gone on to his eternal reward. Right, okay, let's focus on the flight attendant first with you, Michael, because I'm intrigued by this. I watched and enjoyed the first series of The Flight Attendant and then realised if I'm going to continue with this, I'm going to have to do a full recap because I have
no idea what happened.
No idea
what happened. The Flight Attendant first series, based on a book, was brilliant. And it was one of the highlights for me.
I remember enjoying it.
Loved it. But like a lot of the shows that I've talked about in recent weeks, including Russian Doll and Undone and a couple of others, I didn't necessarily see how it could do a second series. So now that I've watched the first episode, it came back last night, they've really reinvented the series in a big way because they had to. Because for those that remember the show, not Greg, but for those that remember the show, the main character, she was at the scene of a murder,
Yes.
and as well
it's
as
coming back to me now. Yeah.
as well as solving the murder,
Yes.
and constantly flashing back to the murder in her own head
Yes.
and reliving it and talking with the dead man, she was also working through some very serious issues that she had in her own life. And by the end of the series, it sounds a bit trite to say that she had resolved all her issues, but certainly she was in a good place, and you wouldn't think there was more story. So what they've done with the show is they've reinvented it, and it's now a zany
At the
spy
end, it was
thriller.
because at the end of it, at the end of the first series, and this is no spoilers.
No, it's not. I know what you're going to say.
Was she
co-opted into?
Yeah, it was like, well, you could have a future. So was it not perfectly set up for her?
It was set up, but it's set up to be a completely different show in the sense that she doesn't have her issues really anymore, although...
And
Cassie
that provided a lot of the comedy as well.
She does have issues, and Kaylee Cuoco is so funny, and it's a star vehicle for her. But as we move into season 2, Cassie is in a much better place because I don't want to, that would be a spoiler, but she has resolved a lot of the issues that she had. But she's moving into a new stage in her life where she's still a flight attendant, but she now works for the CIA. Okay. And that's not a spoiler. That was kind of set up at season 1, and sort of, it's not a big part of the season 1 story. But Cassie being Cassie she's told by her handler, you're just supposed to look at these people, get some basic details. Do not engage these people. Do not follow these people. What are the 2 things that Cassie does?
Engage and follows.
Yes. And of course, by the midpoint of this first episode, I guess no spoiler, someone has died. She was there. She shouldn't have been there. It's out in public, whatever. So she lies about it. But of course, you can't really lie to the CIA. And you're not going to get away with it. So by the end of the first episode, she's in all sorts of trouble. It's a different show, but it has so many of the same.
DNA there?
The DNA is there. My only issue with it is, and they do a thing which I think is a little clumsy, and that's just me being picky. There's a point when she hits her head, she falls, or something happens, she falls. And then she's sort of back in that imaginary world that she was in season 1. It's like they've contrived a way to put her into that thing again.
Yeah, I get you.
And I don't know, do they need to do that? But this time the person she's talking to is another version of herself. So that's a spin on it. But I would give this a thumbs up. I would give the first episode about 8 out of 10 because it was fun. I liked this main character. I wasn't overly invested in the story, but obviously we got to figure out over the next 8 or 10 episodes who killed the guy and what's going on. And it's going to be fun, and I'm going to stick with it. And I would recommend it.
I think we were like that after the first episode as well, because remember we were saying it was very much the way it was shot, that you'd like the way it was shot because it's shot with like 2 and 3 cameras.
Yes.
On the, you're seeing different
very 24.
angles and
you get to see like
all
6,
that kind of thing. And I remember saying it was a little bit erratic in the first.
They've kept all that
in
too.
the very first episode of the first series, but I really enjoyed it. I actually had it set to download because it only just dropped last night on Sky Atlantic after 12 o'clock. So. It was way too late, way past my bedtime.
And you didn't see any of it then yet?
No, I've it set for the weekend. It's down on my list as things to look out for, people to catch up on it. Because actually what they've done is they've dropped this season 2, but you can actually watch it straight through. So it's only 8 episodes in each season. Mm-hmm. They're just under an hour, and it's definitely well worth the watch. And I'm looking forward to the second one. Like as you say, Kaylee whose name I can't say.
It's not going to help you, is it?
I know, The Big Bang Theory.
She's great.
She is awesome in it.
She really is.
She really is so good in it. And
they
you would
brought
have
back her
wondered how
best
good
friend.
an actress is she from The Big Bang Theory or the few things you've seen her in.
She's got the acting chops.
Yeah, she really does.
And they brought back her best friend, the lawyer, and they brought back the boyfriend. They brought back some of the characters. So they've come to... She's now living in LA, but they've come to visit her coincidentally at the same time as all this is happening. But you want them back.
So what are you giving the series 2 out of 10?
The first episode definitely an 8, and I'll probably get better as I get more invested in the story.
8's high for now.
It is high.
Yeah. You watched the first one.
I loved the first one. I just thought it was really good, and I wasn't sure about it in the beginning. I remember after the first one, but then you kind of got invested in her because even though. She was sort of so flawed as well as being.
But aren't we all? It's relatable.
Well, that was kind of the thing. It was just like, it was a crazy, and yet you were like, yeah, I could totally see how this particular.
I loved in this first episode last night where she's following the guy she's been told not to follow, and she's wearing a bright red dress, and she stands out in the crowd, and I was laughing. It's obviously the point, and I'm like, she's terrible at this, but her heart's good.
You mentioned it, or I missed it. Is this available? Now, all at once or weekly? Sorry.
Oh, it's all at once on Sky Atlantic, and you can start
Okay.
back at the first episode of the first series.
Yeah, and you should, because the first series is, as we were talking, actually the important bits were coming back to me, so I know I don't require a watch through.
But it's great, isn't it? The first season was great.
Yeah, it was really entertaining.
Because it was unlike, there was nothing else quite like that first season.
Okay. Any of you watched Pieces of Her? It's on Netflix, no?
Yes.
Did you?
Yeah, we talked about it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. It is familiar to me because I watched the first couple of episodes yesterday and I enjoyed it, right?
Yeah,
so
she's very good, Toni Collette.
She is, but I wanted to sort of get an idea of what the plot was. Even though I knew what it was, I just wanted to see what the plot description was. So I Googled it, as you do, come up on IMDb or IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. Really low ratings.
I thought we were talking about that, I think,
Yeah.
back at the time, because some listener was watching it, and I had watched a couple of them at that time.
I remember now.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very...
Is it good the whole way through? Because the first 2 episodes are really perfectly fine.
Yeah, but that's kind of what you'd end up saying about it. It's perfectly fine.
Right, okay.
Okay.
When I kind of got, there was bits of it, and you were like, this could have been
it's
awesome
where
in
it's
it.
going. Sounds...
You know the way you were kind of like, but then it kind of got a little bit predictable in some ways.
Right, okay.
By the end of the whole lot, I was like, I did not enjoy it. You know that sort of a way?
It's not a glowing...
yeah, but it wasn't, that's the kind of thing
so I'm
that
20%,
it was.
I'm what, 2 of 8 is what, 20%? 25% in it, so I might as well stick it out now.
Yeah, I mean, she's very good in it.
Do if you're
There's
liking
kind of
it.
a few, you know, that's the kind of thing it is. You would like it. You know what I mean? You're never going to come away from it and say, oh my God, that was awesome. But you're definitely going to give it like a 6 or a 7. You know, that sort of way and go,
Yeah.
And you're going to go, you're sitting around looking for something to watch. It's worth watching.
Yeah, but what was putting me off is a lot of people were saying the first 2 or 3 episodes were good, then there's a bit of a switch in pace or something, and they felt let down. I think, is that what you were saying? I can't...
No, I found it was... In the beginning, you see, this is the thing. You're kind of trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you fairly figure it out kind of by about 4.
Right,
You know,
okay.
that sort of say by 4 or 5.
I'm going to be on 6 going, what's going on here? I must be.
By about 4 or 5, you have a good idea
And the
what's
pressure
going
will
on.
be on because you're like, Fionnuala
So
said
what
I
is
should
it? What is
have
the
figured this out. I
What's
should have figured
happening?
this out.
So, but that's the thing. So then that's why you kind of end up in the end of it sort of feeling, no, it was grand.
Okay.
You know.
But you wouldn't have a huge hunger for season 2.
No, it wouldn't. There wouldn't be anything kind of wow about it that would sort of make you think, oh wow.
All right. Well, we're going to come back with effectively what would be season 8, I think, of Bosch. I know Michael's a big fan. You're a big fan of the books and the series. It's sort of not, I don't know, reloaded. I'll let you explain it after we take this quick break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
On this week's Business Matters, I am joined by Kieran Doherty, Operations Manager with the Anya Fishing Company based in Burton Port and Chairperson of the Killybegs Fishermen's Organisation. So join me, Kieran O'Donnell, for Business Matters on Sunday evening after the 6 o'clock news. The Business Matters podcast is also available to download at highlandradio.com.
Business Matters, in association with the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal. The part-time Level 8 Honours degree in Business is delivered through a mix of online and face-to-face lectures. Email execedbusiness@lyit.ie. That's EXECED business at lyit.ie or call 9186206.
Our McCullough Jewelers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at ourmccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. Our McCullough Jewelers, making moments magical for generations.
No matter how busy we are, how can we make the most of our lives each day? By spending quality time together or spending time giving back. However you spend each day, spend it doing what matters to you with Debit MasterCard, because a life well spent is truly priceless. Learn more at mastercard.ie.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring biggest ever sale. 10 million euros worth of stock in store and ready to take home. All tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything slashed in price. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Ireland's biggest range, best prices, and in store to take home today. Sale now on.
GiveBlood.ie know we can count on you, our community of blood donors, to give blood and to choose to be there for others in their hour of need. Blood donors from Ballyshannon should attend the clinic in Coláiste Colmcille in College Street on Monday 30th of May, and donors from Donegal, Killybegs and Dunloe should attend the clinic in the Abbey Hotel in Donegal Town from Tuesday 31st of May to Thursday 2nd of June. All donors need to make an appointment, so call 1-800-731-137 to book your time. New donors are welcome. Visit giveblood.ie to see eligibility and clinic details.
Okay, a caller says, started watching The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix. Good so far, but the jury's still out.
I like that.
I hope it was intentional.
I like that.
It could have been accidental, but
Doubt
right,
it.
okay.
Seemed pretty.
It could have been.
The Lincoln Lawyer
clever.
is on your list.
It is because
Sean, we'll do a quick word in it then.
I
Not a
wasn't
quick
too sure.
word, take your
Well,
time.
I wasn't too sure whether you see that I was going to be here, so I was actually watching stuff that I really like to watch myself.
Go on, well, how long, yeah? What did you watch? Because you,
I know I was just
was
Michael
it about
Connelly.
cakes that could be real things?
If you have not watched that show, you cannot judge it. It's awesome. I was with my nephew watching it. It was cool.
Yeah, if you're watching things that you're in private that you're embarrassed to talk about, but you're willing to talk about the cake show, what the heck are you watching in private?
If you describe things as cool, you're not qualified to use that word.
No, I know.
Your
I
nephews
know,
and nieces will be
they're cool in
cringing.
my mind.
Oh, she said cool.
I know. To me, they're cool. Well, what I did was I had because I don't know. I was watching Michael Connelly. I went completely Michael Connelly. So Michael Connelly, the author, wrote both The Lincoln Lawyer and Bosch. So that's the other one.
So there's a connection here. Yeah.
So it's the same.
They're a shared universe, Greg, and you
you
love
love
shared
shared
universes.
Yeah, of course.
Eventually, they
so
will bring the
excited.
multiverse into it, and you'll just
They
be
won't really. They
all
don't
over it.
actually really live in the same space, do they?
Yes.
Yeah, they meet up. That's not. We're
Do
not
they?
joking.
Oh no! Right? Okay.
Well, if anybody's read the book, they will. I won't ruin it in case it happens in either show that there's some sort of a crossover. But if anybody has read any of the books, they'll know that there's actually crossover books.
So the Lincoln
between-
Lawyer film, is this connected? No.
So yes, the
Okay.
Lincoln Lawyer film was one of the first of Michael Connelly's books that
That's
was
a
made
great
into
film,
anything.
by the way. If anyone,
Yeah.
if one looking for a film for the weekend,
Matthew McConaughey.
yeah, it's actually a really good film.
This the series that they've done is similar-ish to the book and the film. The story of it is, it's all about some rich guy with more money than sense and being accused of a crime, and he comes into it and he takes over. So it's like a slightly similar theme to, but it is different. It is different. The basic story is different then, or should I say, the arcing story is different in it. It's over 10 episodes. They've made a few changes with it. It's all set in LA. He's this lawyer. He's had his own problems, and now he's kind of coming back to the law, and he finds himself with this massive, big celebrity public case on it. And meanwhile, he's also trying to, help somebody that he feels was wrongfully convicted as well, and all this kind of thing going down through it. He's also, his own relationships and all that sort of stuff comes into it as well. To be honest, I did watch the whole lot of it. Again, it was fine. But if I was saying to somebody, oh, you really should check out Michael Connelly's stuff or whatever, if it's The Lincoln Lawyer, I would tell you, go back and watch the movie.
Right.
The movie I thought was much better.
You haven't watched any of the series, Michael?
No, I haven't seen The Lincoln Lawyer yet, but it's very much of interest to me because Bosch is still my favourite show on TV.
And can I ask you, Fionnuala, and I know you would separate this out, but you can be loyal sometimes to books and their authors. I mean, if I go in watching The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix and I haven't read the book, or I'm not familiar with the author, will my expectations be any different to yours? Like, I wonder, is that
Possibly,
in some way
and if you haven't seen the
influenced
movie
you?
and that kind
Yeah.
of thing. I mean, in fairness, Matthew McConaughey's a little bit kind of iconic in sort of the way he speaks
So
and the way he does. So
charismatic,
then when you put somebody else into a role that in your head, I found myself thinking more about that.
Yeah.
In this, the leading man in it that plays Mickey Haller, the Lincoln Lawyer.
Yeah.
He is supposed to be the son of this this once very famous lawyer in LA, and now he's kind of trudging his way through it. That anybody who's read the books, anybody who saw the original movie would know that about it. But then what they've done now in this is he is of Mexican descent, which I have to say, it took me a little while to kind of get my head around it, purely because it wasn't anything that was in the books or in the original movie. So it is possible that has kind of taken away from me. There's a girl that plays his daughter in it. I think she might be 25.
Right.
I'm not really sure what's going on. Why is she 25 when she's supposed to be playing like a 14 or 15-year-old?
Oh, okay.
So you're kind of like going, what?
She's been cast wrong. Like, in other words, in the program, she's still a teen.
Yeah, she's
But
she's
it's an
like
older
14,
actress that's
15.
doing
Yeah,
it.
she's not
Okay.
yet 16 in the thing, and yet I would definitely say the actress is 25. So there's a few little bits like that in it. Your one, Niamh Campbell, isn't that her name? She
Yes,
used to be in
Niamh,
The Screams.
Niamh.
She's in it. She's
Party
the
of Five.
only really... Oh, yeah, Party of Five, loved it.
His Dreams.
She's the
All the
only...
things she's been in.
She's the only one in it, really, that you'd have seen well, for me anyways, that I
got star
instantly
recognition.
recognize,
Yeah, I guess so.
that had some level of star recognition in it. But I like, maybe if you went into it without any preconceptions and
I
you
think
just
judging
watch
by
it, it's
your
an interesting
yeah,
story.
yeah.
It is. There is a lot of stuff happening in it. It moves along. There's a lot of different. There was just a few things, like a lot of the casting and stuff like that didn't work for me.
Yeah.
But as you say, maybe it's because I have previous stuff in my head.
Yeah, okay. The Lincoln Lawyer is a good, easy watch. One you can watch and leave and watch something else in between. So,
Yeah, that's probably
but
the way.
that isn't, again, not a glowing endorsement. Maybe I'm looking for the next big series, and these ones aren't necessarily it, you know.
Well, I mean, like there's a good chance the flight attendant could be the net. Could be the.
Well, the first series was.
So the second one could hit you as well. I mean, the other thing I watched in the Michael Connelly was the Bosch Legacy, which is I didn't think it was going to come to Amazon, so I was very disappointed. I enjoyed Bosch because, as I said, I've read all the books, still reading them because he's still writing them.
Right.
So I really enjoyed the books and I enjoyed the series. I thought they really did a good job.
Okay, so let's
of the
talk
books.
about Bosch, because I want to set this up in my head, right? Because I'm sure we've had this conversation.
Yeah.
Bosch ran for 7 series on Amazon.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure it was Michael, not you, Fionnuala, because you wouldn't make this mistake, that you said that Disney or something were taking it up, or it was a reboot or something like that there. But it turns out Bosch Legacy is on Amazon.
Yeah,
and
but
it's
the strangest one because they kind of give it up, and I don't. We were under the impression that, and both Mike and I had read about that it was going to one of these new streaming platforms that you.
I think they're showing it on Amazon over here, but in the States, it was IMDb TV.
Oh, well, it's gone.
Which they changed to
it's
Freevee.
gone, right,
They changed that to Freevee, and it's now Amazon Freevee. So the difference for America is that they previously had to have an Amazon subscription to see Bosch, but Bosch Legacy is free.
Yeah.
People can watch it for free in the States. With ads.
Yeah, but IMDb
But over here,
TV
is gone.
It bombed. It bombed.
Yeah.
So right, okay. So
But
that
over
maybe
here,
explains
they're
the
carrying
confusion.
it.
So what they did, and what they seem to have done with it was, anybody again who's watched it, Bosch is one of these characters. He's this hard-bitten.
He's an alcoholic. His wife's left him. He's got family troubles.
Well, no, actually, he's not an alcoholic. And his wife did leave
Does he have
him, but
48
they
hours to solve
divorced.
the case?
Yeah, they got back together. They were on friendly terms.
Yeah,
through,
they were. Yeah, in that way,
Yeah.
he's not. He's more one of these guys. You know, like everybody else is only doing it for the paycheck.
Yeah.
He's got a mission.
He chews up the scenery, though, doesn't he? I mean, he
does it so well. I've always loved Titus Welliver in other shows back to. We'll do a listing show.
If you
love him.
To be honest, now when I really like the books and that, when you see him in it, he exactly what he does is exactly the way the character is in the books.
Fair play, that's
in the sense like he's very, everybody counts or nobody counts. And he's the only one, and everybody's wrong, and anybody that breaks the law is totally wrong. But he can break the law because he is working towards a greater good.
He bends the law.
One of those,
He bends the law. He bends the law.
one of those
very
kind
defensive of him, isn't he?
Very defensive.
I love the character. I love him.
So if you're looking for actually just a good cop show to watch, there's plenty of it, right?
Yeah.
One episode an evening going to bed or something,
Yeah.
because we watch maybe less TV in the summer. Bosch is there, and Bosch is excellent. I enjoyed
Excellent.
the first
it's absolutely
5.
excellent. Now, the only thing I'd say to you is that don't jump into Legacy. You are better off if you've watched at least some of the original series.
For the characters? Or?
For the characters, but also there seems to be, like, even when it starts on the first episode, it spends 2 or 3 minutes going previously on Bosch.
Okay.
So it's kind of.
So it's
giving
effectively
you-
season 8 of Bosch, really. Despite being a
except
spin-off.
for the fact that, as I said, he was a police officer. He's been 25 years in the police. He's always been the one that they've all been gunning for because it's not his fault. He's just there with a mission, the kind of way.
You should do the
He's
previously on.
I know,
Fionnuala
so
should do the
good.
previously on.
And he's, but now he's left them. He walked out, and he is a private detective. But there's one story. His daughter is still in it. Money Chandler, the lawyer, is
She's
still
fabulous.
in it. But everybody else kind of just drops in and out. So occasionally you see some of the other characters that showed up that were technically friends of his, although he doesn't really have friends. He's a lone wolf. And
she really is looking for a narration
She
job
wants
somewhere.
that job
I'd
so
be good
badly.
at it. I think I'd like
Previously
it.
on Bosch.
Imagine. And once they get paid, that guy that did Big Brother, he got loads of money.
Oh, once your voice is associated with something.
Yeah.
You're in then.
It's a total way to go into retirement. Just walking around going, previously on.
You ever get the feeling that someone doesn't want to be here? Like, she's either talking about packing her CV out or retirement. So it's either...
But my CV is going to be handed around at my funeral for people. Nothing else.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Because you're proud of it and it's been a work.
This is what I've done. This is what I did. This is what I did with the X amount of years. Here's my listing.
I'd like to get through one episode of this without you talking about your exit strategy.
That was my exit. I don't have an exit strategy in particular for life, but let's face it, it's going to happen at some point. I like to be prepared.
Yeah, clearly.
Stay around as a hologram.
But I did, look at...
So how far into Bosch Legacy are you?
Oh, I went cracked.
Okay.
I told you I didn't think I was going to be here.
You enjoyed it then?
There's 10 episodes, and I got 8 into it nearly in a row.
I know.
Wow!
That's brilliant. Do you know what? We all do it.
I'm still waiting for the last 2 to drop, and I'm like, damn it! I totally wanted to know.
Okay. So it's obviously brilliant.
It's to be honest, it's done exactly in the same way as they did Bosch, but that there's little changes and stuff like that in it, and I really enjoyed Bosch.
Yeah.
And I do like a police kind of procedural and that kind of thing. And
great TV.
To be honest, in that
TV.
sense, the stories are always really good in this. There's always 2 or 3 sub stories going on. He never just
and it's
says
worth
one
pointing
crime.
out, it's not just Michael Connolly. I mean, I don't know about Legacy, but I presume it's the same creative people. One of the key creative forces behind Bosch is one of the guys who did The Wire. You know, I mean, there's a true line there of really top tier, intelligent crime drama, and that's of
There's a new one coming to Sky Atlantic soon as well. I just noticed
from the Wire people.
From the Wire people as well.
Okay.
I was like,
Margaret Higgins is watching us on Facebook. Margaret, good morning to you and everyone else watching with us as well. And you can watch on our website now, highlandradio.com. Lincoln Lawyer, excellent. With that emoji. Now I'm not sure what that is. That's okay.
A-OK, yeah.
A-OK, so it's better than A-OK.
Oh yeah.
And Margaret's referencing the series there. Drop us a line if you're watching. What you're watching? 086 60 25,000. Right. Okay. So Bosch Legacy, big thumbs up. Again, it's one of those shows does come up on this item now and again. Bosch, because it's a good show.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go to the cinema.
Yes.
On Callie Quinn.
Yes, this is the Irish film, the Irish language film that's getting rave reviews, not just here in Ireland, but anywhere it's screening, and it's a multi-award winning film. I went along to see it on Tuesday night with one of the lads from the D&D group, Dungeons and Dragons group. It was his idea. And we loved it.
I'm going to start hanging out with this guy.
We loved it.
Much better crack than Michael.
We completely, we loved it.
Do you play Dungeons and Dragons?
Fernanda wants to play.
Is it a board game? Sorry, we've done this before.
We've done this before. It's sort of like, it's like a board game, but it's really like a play. Yeah. It's like somebody tells you, it's like Greg, you are standing in a courtyard. There's a door to your left and a door to your right. You can hear a growling coming from the door to your right. Which door do you want to walk through,
I remember
Greg?
the Dungeons and Dragons game, and I played it on the very first console, which I think it might have been a cartridge. I don't think it was the Commodore 64. It might have been the first Sega. But there used to be a part of the game where you'd get to, and it was like a turning wheel going up a tower, and the wind was blowing, and you had to stay against the wind. But I think it was a fault with the cartridge. It used to crash on that every single time.
So you never got past?
Never got past it. So I'm still stuck on.
The trauma.
Stay where you are, because I want to talk more about not Dungeons and Dragons, but I just want to. I don't want to hold Bobby here because we could go on for a wee bit on that one. Bobby Cunningham, good morning to you, Bobby. How are you getting on?
Good morning, Greg, and thank you so much for having me.
No, it's lovely to speak to you, and you're speaking to us from beautiful Kilcar, and a lovely evening coming up on June 5th. Tell us a bit about it.
Yes, indeed, Greg. Over the years, there's so many people in our communities, that deserve a little recognition for all the work that they do throughout the years. And of course, in the last number of years, some people have retired or moved on, and without acknowledgement of what they've done over the years.
Yeah.
We had the likes of Andrew Doherty, our postman here. He came here for 6 weeks way back, and he ended up being here 40 years. And
Kilcar will do that to you, though. It catches you, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then, of course, we had Father Eddie, our parish priest, that was here between the area at Glencullen, Kilcarrick, and ourselves here in Kilcar. He was here for 35 years. Now he's moved on to Letchermike Ward, and it was just the other day there you mentioned a classical music concert in Letchermike Ward on the 4th of June. And I was just thinking, if he goes to that and then comes to the Blue Haven on the 5th of June for a country night, that'll tell test his musical preferences.
Yes, but exactly. But listen, I think this is a brilliant thing to do. It's called Let's Celebrate and Thank Noel Cunningham, who you haven't mentioned, Donegal Person of the Year currently as well, Andy Doherty, as you have, local postman, Father Eddie Gallagher, and it's a celebration of them. It's in the Blue Haven, Kilcar, 5th of June, music and dancing with Red Alert. Tickets only a tenner as well, and proceeds go to a charity which will be chosen by the three gentlemen in question. This doesn't happen too often, and I think it's something, Bobby, we should see more of.
Well, I think so. Especially for there's certain people that they deserve a little recognition for what they do over the years in communities. And I mean, this is really just an acknowledgement of for these few people. Now, I didn't mention Noel, of course. Noel, in 2019, that we proposed Noel for Donegal Person of the Year.
And he's been the Donegal Person of the Year ever since.
He has been. But he's a great ambassador, and I must say he's a great ambassador for the county. And so, yeah, we're having that night in the Blue Haven, and we have to thank Terns and his team there for the facilities and that. But now we don't have ABBA or Bruce Springsteen, who you were talking about earlier.
You've Red Alert, though. It's the same thing.
We have Red Alert, and they're a brilliant band. So we're just hoping everybody comes along and has a good night, conversation, a bit of a dance, and a bit of fun.
I think it's going to be a packed, brilliant night, Bobby. Not just from local people in Kilcar, but for the surrounding areas too, because it's going to be fun. You can be sure of that between the three guests, but particularly Noel. It's going to be a fun night as well.
Well, exactly, Greg. That's what we're certainly hoping for, a big crowd. There's no doubt about that. And yes, of course, it'll be a fun night with Noel in full swing.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant stuff, Bobby. We'll mention it a little closer to time to remind people. How do they get tickets? It starts at 8 p.m. And by the way, in celebrating these gentlemen, you're also supporting charities of their choice. Is it? I don't know. Will there be tickets available on the night? I'm not sure how large the venue is, or do people need to maybe make sure they have a ticket in advance? What's the best situation there, Bobby?
I know. There'll be loads of tickets on the door. It's a big venue, and there's loads of tickets on the door, Greg. So no, then you needn't have any worries.
Are you a bit of a singer yourself, Bobby? Would you?
No, I'm afraid if I started to sing, I would clear the place.
Well, we can put you on just before closing. Noel can do the warm up for you, and you can bang out some Bruce Springsteen or something.
Yeah. Oh well, but we're hoping for a good night. We're hoping.
It's going to be a brilliant night. It's going to be a brilliant night. Okay, it is. Put it in your diary. The 5th of June. It's the bank holiday weekend. Music and dancing with Red Alert. And you know what will end up being there? It's actually quite a few tourists are going to hear there's a night on, and they're going to go to it, and we'll wonder what will they make of it.
Yeah, well, we're certainly hoping so.
Of course. Can you imagine just randomly if you're visiting from America somewhere and you happen to be in that part of the world and you end up in there? It'd be a brilliant experience. Okay, listen, thanks, Bobby. Best of luck with everything.
Greg, thank you so much.
Great to chat to you. It's our pleasure. Get your tickets or go down there on the night. Okay, we're going to be speaking about that film with Michael and Fionnuala, but we do have to catch up on this quick break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Love what you do, and you'll never work a day in your life, says old Mr. Brennan. That's why our bakers make such great tasty bread. From our bagel bakers to our bakehouse craft bakers and our Be Good bakers. I like a more traditional baker myself, says I. Well, to see our family pan bakers still bake our famous sliced pan fresh every morning. However you slice it, anything baked is better with Brennan's. Brennan's, today's bread today.
New this week in Home Store and More. All roller blinds are half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price roller blinds are gone, they're gone. Also, all water fountains and all pillows are still half price. But when all our half-price water fountains and all our half-price pillows are gone, they're definitely gone. Order online before 2 p.m. for next day delivery, or drop by your local Home Store and More. Home Store and More. A happy home.
At Chrysler Supermarket, we offer daily specials at our deli with fresh and delicious food to go. Avail of our butcher's weekly specials or choose from a range of healthy options and pre-packed meals, plus many more offers in store. We're open 7 days for your convenience. Chrysler Supermarket, where quality and value is assured.
Dad,
Dad, can we get these? And a pack of these.
Here we go again, cleaning out the sweets aisle. Wasn't like that in my day. Ooh, those bars are good though. No, sticking to the new plan.
Please.
Remember what we all agreed? We're cutting down on junk like crisps, chocolate and biscuits, even me.
At 12 p.m. on Saturday, Jerry started putting fewer treats in the trolley. Let's go easy on the treats. Start with smaller ones less often to keep your family healthy. Find more ways to start at makeastart.ie. Brought to you by Safe Food, the HSE and Healthy Ireland.
I can't stop thinking about them. I keep rereading their old texts.
Brian, this has gotta stop. It's been months, and they send those alerts to everyone. You know that, right? Look, your bank is leaving, but you gotta get back out there. Listen to me, any bank would be lucky to have you, especially Bank of Ireland.
Really?
Yeah, they've even put together a simple step-by-step guide to moving banks and have a dedicated team on hand to help. Even an ending can be a new beginning. To start finding your new banking partner, download our step-by-step guide to moving banks. Search Bank of Ireland Big Move. Begin.
Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Okie doke. So we were going to, before we, it was lovely to chat to Bobby, before we were joined by Bobby, and Kilcar's, Kilcar is I know I say this, but it is really a lovely part of the world. The people are great. All around there is part of my favourite places. On Colleen Keown, tell us about this film. The critics absolutely love it. The audience love it. We were speaking to the producer last week. It's got
2 weeks
strong
ago. I heard that.
connections. You weren't here.
Yeah, but I heard it.
What
was
day
really
of the
good.
week it is. But you loved it as well. Tell us why.
I loved it. It's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It just means every critic, as you say, has
international.
International. And I think this is going to be big because I just think it's going to be a big film over the next 12 months. I hope it has real traction and does very well. It's already garnered a lot of awards. There was one festival here, an Irish one, I forget the name. It beat Belfast in every category except one. I think script was the only one. It's a magnificent film, and it falls right into my wheelhouse in that jokey way that we say it's a movie where nothing happens and nobody says anything, and those movies can often be really, really wonderful.
There's obviously enough in this because it's not niche. It's got broad appeal.
It's got broad appeal. Yeah,
it's more than maybe there's more to it than maybe your explanation would suggest.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a really profound and deep film, and the story is that in
Liam Neeson in it?
In 1980,
he's in everything.
He's in everything. A 1981 storyline, and it's a large family. There's a new baby on the way. There's a quiet girl, which is the name of the movie, and she is kind of a bit more difficult than the other kids. She does her own thing, and we see her at school and stuff. So the parents, for the summer, in the months leading up to the birth of the new baby, they send her off to family, to relatives down the country. And the story is that summer of 1981, where she's staying with, they're described as an older couple, and down the country, cousins of the main. And that's really it. And it's just the change that comes over that girl over the summer, and the change that comes over the household.
All is not as it seems in the house where she goes to stay.
Yes, there is a wee thing of what might have happened in the house before she came, and that comes up, etc.
Right.
And in terms of the plot, there's nothing very surprising in this. You'll probably know in the first 10 minutes a lot of what happens, but it's the beauty of the way the story is told. It's the way it's filmed, the way it's performed, and it will get you. The ending will stay with you for a long time.
It gets you in the feels.
It gets you in the feels. Okay. And one of the things I've seen on Twitter, a lot of people saying, and it was true in our cinema, in the cinema here locally, when the movie was over, everybody just sat there. Sat there.
Okay.
Nobody got up. And there was a good crowd there on Tuesday evening, but people just sat there. And that's what I see. The director is on Twitter. He's liking all the comments. He's responding to people about the film. But that's the thing I've seen a lot. Everyone says, yeah, when this movie was
black
over,
and white?
Everybody was... No, it's not black and white, but what they've done is they've shot it in the 4:3 aspect ratio. So it looks like a TV episode. It looks like an episode of Glenroe from 1981. It's got that... So it's a real box on the screen. And it's such a wise choice. It really... It evokes 1981 perfectly. And the characters are watching TV, so you see them watching Quicksilver and you see them watching old TV shows, and you hear them listening to the wireless, you hear them listening to the match. You know, it just... The look and feel of this movie is perfect. It's
Stay where you
film.
are. Stay where you are, because as we do on a Friday, we get a weather forecast from our friends at Carlo Weather. Alan O'Reilly joins us now. Alan, how are you getting on? Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, our expectations, and in fairness, you flagged this with us last week. Our expectations for this weekend are high. They're not going to be disappointed. What's the weather for the Northwest today, Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, well, it is going to be a settled spell of weather, so we have high pressure over us. There will certainly be some sunny spells, but I'm afraid while many in the Northwest might be looking at social media and seeing people like me and Carlo posting clear blue skies and getting the barbecue out, it is going to be cloudier and it is going to be cooler in the Northwest. So that northerly breeze is going to keep temperatures probably back to 14 or 15 degrees, possibly getting up to 16 degrees. Probably best temperatures maybe on Sunday. For a time with the early sunshine. But look, it is going to be a nice weekend in the Northwest. It's just not going to be as warm and as sunny as some other parts of the country.
But quite dry. If you happen to get direct sunlight, it'll feel warm, but presumably out of the sunlight, that wind will make it feel a wee bit, well, chilly, but colder.
Yeah, exactly. It will feel that bit cooler in the breeze, especially near the coast. But as you say, when you get the sunshine, and there will be good sunny spells at times, it will feel pleasant. Even though it's only going to maybe 14 or 15 degrees in the sunshine, that will feel pleasant. And Sunday morning does look absolutely lovely with the best of the sunshine probably early on Sunday. So it is going to be a nice weekend.
Why does cloud tend to sit over the Northwest more so than it might elsewhere? Is it being burnt off? Is it the geography? What's the situation?
It's generally because we see the high pressure coming up from the south, and it doesn't make it as far, really. So the outer bands,
like
of the
the
cloud,
railway, then.
a bit like many things, I think you could say in the Northwest. To be fair to you, but yeah, it's just the high pressure isn't quite drilling right in over us. So that's unfortunately why you will see a bit more cloud
next week. Looking a bit uncertain. It was anyway. Any more certainty is what we can expect through the week?
It's a very interesting setup from a weather forecasting point of view, but that doesn't help people trying to make a forecast and make plans because there's still a lot of uncertainty. It does look like it's going to turn more unsettled with more showers, unfortunately, and cooler. So temperatures struggling to get above maybe 12, 13 degrees on the first couple of days of the week. Generally not too wet Monday, Tuesday, and maybe Wednesday, but there is a risk of some heavier rain coming in later in the week. But huge uncertainty, and I'm getting an awful lot of messages about the bank holiday weekend. And it's really 50-50 at the moment, Greg. Unfortunately, it's very hard to call it. There's a chance of high pressure coming up again, but we could also see low pressure nearby. So it's a really mixed bag in the forecasting at the moment, I'm afraid.
All right, enjoy the beautiful sunny weather in Carlo. Alan, thanks very much for your time as always.
Cheers, Greg.
All right, take care. Alan O'Reilly there of Carlo Weather. You can check him out on social media. Right, okay, so... You're giving this film
10
a
out of
huge
10.
thumbs up.
Huge
it's one of
thumbs
those
up.
that's going to stay with you by the sound.
It will stay with me, and I look forward to seeing it again. If not in the cinema, then on TV when it shows up. I would heartily recommend it to everyone. You would have to have a heart of stone not to be affected by this film.
Right. Well, over to you, Fionnuala.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm looking forward to
Fionnuala has a
seeing
big
it.
heart, by the way. It's all an act. It's all an act. Yes, you
I
do.
don't know. But I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. But I'm glad it's getting such good reviews because one of the things we talked about after you'd spoken to the producer was the fact that it is an Irish language film and that you'd like to see that one of the platforms would take it up as well so that we would... Why wouldn't there be people in Korea watching an Irish language film in the same way as we watch Korean language films or German language or Polish or anything like that? And if it's getting that well received, it's in with a very good chance.
And in a way, it actually makes it more consumable.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, with it being subtitled. You know,
I agree.
Yeah, across the world,
right,
absolutely.
okay,
So
brilliant.
And there's
like
not a
seeing-
huge amount of dialogue in it. Like there isn't. It isn't a film that's dialogue heavy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to say the same thing. Like, you are making me feel like I don't want to see this, and I don't know how that's happened because. But I'm thinking I ain't going to see a square box with no noise, and they're watching TV and listening to the radio. Why would I want to go and see that?
Because your heart will go out to that wee girl. Your
And
heart
also
will go
now
to
I
her.
know, once it's over, I have to sit in the cinema for about 5 minutes taking it all in, or I'll look like a heartless
Everybody will be
twat.
like, look, Greg Hughes got up as soon as the credits
Yeah,
started.
you know,
Greg Hughes walked out.
like
He has a heart
like
of stone.
standing
that
up at the
Greg
wrong
Hughes,
time
a
at
heart of
mass.
stone.
No, okay. Right, no, I mess. Okay, that's in cinemas right now. Either of you looking forward to Top Gun? I think it started last night.
We're currently had a row about it because
We're debating
I was
it.
saying,
Debating.
When,
It's
I
not
was
around.
saying, when the last time we went to the cinema, I was saying, we saw the trailer come up, and I was like, oh my god, I loved the original Top Gun.
Yeah.
It was just one of those movies when it came out that it was kind of like of its time, you know, the way I think.
And it appealed to, everyone.
Oh, well, I mean, boys watched it, girls watched it, everybody could be talking about it because you had like all of the fighter things, but then you had the love story and Meg Ryan.
Motorbikes and
the
sunglasses
whole thing and a bit of
airplanes.
singing and the romance. It was just, it just had absolutely everything. And at the time as well, it was when everybody thought Tom Cruise was awesome. I know people
And
can be a little
6'2".
bit.
We all thought he was 6'2" then as well. Turns out he wasn't.
I know. It turns out, shockingly, he was not. But in this, he just. So I'm really looking forward to this now next week. I mean, there are a few things that kind of upset me about it. Like, he could come back into his original role, but
Kelly
McGillis was apparently too old to come back as his girlfriend, and you're like, that is just typical.
But it's one of those films that again, there's a consensus. It's exceeded. People feel it's exceeded the original. The debate is that you're not interested in it.
Not
Never
interested.
saw the original.
Never saw the original.
Who?
Me.
He didn't.
I didn't. Not
How
interested
in
at
the name
all.
of God can you be of a certain age and not have seen?
He's got worn-out videos of Pamela Anderson running around the beach in Baywatch.
That's
to
true.
The original soundtrack.
That's
and
true.
he's never watched Top Gun.
I've never watched Top Gun. Never liked Tom Cruise back then. Didn't like that. I always thought he was a
How
fakey.
could you not have liked Risky Business?
I didn't. I
mean,
saw that.
How could you not like Cocktail?
Saw that, and that
Like,
turned me off him.
They were awesome.
No.
Right, come here.
Back in the day, he was awesome.
I think this is actually
totally
quite
be
interesting that if you actually go and watch it, right?
Yes.
It'll be actually a really interesting review. If I'm not compelling you to do, but if you chose to
just go and see the
just to
second
say,
one, yeah.
because I was a wee bit like that with Sandra Bullock. I didn't like her in anything. And then I saw Gravity, and now all of a sudden I'm like watching her in everything.
Oh my God, and I like her in everything except
know, but-
Gravity.
I like her in everything.
I think Gravity is a
my
terrible
God.
movie.
It's a brilliant film.
Who the hell throws what's his name out the window?
George Clooney.
No, it's
For storyline
Plus,
purposes.
Yeah, it would have made more sense if she had thrown
Oh
Tom
my
Cruise
God.
out. Yeah, that would have made
Plus
sense.
she-
Could have been a
she
smaller window
survives.
too.
Yes, it would have been.
she survives without oxygen.
Does she?
The physics and the science of it is
It's
just
Sandra Bullock. She can do
I don't
anything.
care.
She's
no,
perfect.
I love her in everything except
She's
Gravity.
perfect.
Listen, thank you both very much. It's
All right.
a pleasure to have you back in. I really appreciate it. 086, sorry, just to remind people of the text line, you don't need to text at the moment. I've got the results of a survey. The survey lines are closed, so I'm going to get to that. Stay where you are. I'm going to do that just as we come back for the weather forecast. But Fionnuala and Michael, thank you so much.
Have
a great weekend. See you next Friday,
You
God
too, have a
willing.
great one.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
The Kia Sportage, Donegal's best-selling car for 2022. If you're thinking about making the move to Kia or to upgrade your current Kia, make sure to call in today to iMotors Letterkenny or Malin. With a 7-year warranty as standard, driving a Kia makes sense.
The latest edition of the Northwest Derby between Finn Harps and Derry City is this Friday evening, and it's live on Highland. Join us for full match commentary at the Ryan McBride Brandywell Stadium from 7:45 kickoff. Highland's coverage is in association with B&S Credit Union Ballabafay, where the Renovate and Green Loans can help you turn your dreams to reality. Don't delay, get your loan today. Visit bnscu.ie or freephone 1800 290 390. B&S Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
We're all faced with things going up these days, but you'll still find amazing value every single day at Aldi. And you could save over €70 on your big family shop when compared to one of our nearest competitors. Nearest and dearest indeed. So don't change your lifestyle, change your supermarket. Aldi, every day amazing. Comparisons against products sourced in SuperValue 28th of March 22. Lowest pro rate used and offers excluded. For full details, see aldi.ie.
Joe Gallagher Entertainments present rock and roll legends Show Waddy Waddy at Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny, Thursday 9th of June. Tickets on sale now from hotel reception, ticketmaster.ie and Joe Gallagher Entertainments. Show Waddy Waddy live at Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny, Thursday 9th of June.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday with the family? You can now fly to beautiful Mallorca every Friday this summer with Ryanair and enjoy some of Europe's best beaches. Ireland West Airport, you're flying.
Okay, so as you heard, cloudy with sunny spells today, good weather for the weekend. So hopefully you'll be able to enjoy at least some of it. That is where we have to leave it on the programme today. We'll carry over the results of that poll till Monday. Thank you to everyone who took part in the show, whether you listened or watched the show, text in or not. It's all appreciated, your interactions. We're back with you Monday morning, all being well, from 9. Stay tuned. John Breslin's coming up around the northwest after the news at 12. Good luck to Donegal on Sunday. It's going to be a great game. Good luck, of course, to Derry too, for our Derry listeners as well. Tyrone people can sit back and enjoy them knocking the living daylights out of each other in a footballing sense. But anyway, have a great weekend. See you Monday.
The 9 till noon show